We got Sataya. We got Sharif. What a good time to be alive. It's your midday. Learn to trade. Take it easy.
Yes, yes, yes. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your girl, Sataya, the crypto queen.
Hello, Sataya, and this is Sharif.
Thank you for introducing me. All right, let's shout out everybody in the chat. We got Scott H, my man. We got Matthew Booth. Scott H says money bags kind of day. So let's go. Couldn't agree with you more.
Yes.
We got football. We got my man Adam DeLuce. We got the beautiful Gate, the Piper, Yannick Nesbitt, Ezekiel Lepera. We got Juan Padilla, Mateus Lane, Jeremy Newman, Rogelio Concepcion. A proper paradox as opposed to an improper paradox, right? So Chris Compost, Andrew Chow, 1320 Wolf, Skyline, Hans Beer, Hey Davis, the Skips 8, and Mary L. Shout out to Sea Battles and Milky Way, as opposed to the Andromeda Galaxy, of course, right? Day Trader Cut, Starvin' Like, we got Mella, we got Sly, we got Spark Shop, the Badger joining us as well as Giles 050, Rocco Trader. We got my main man, Fat Figure, he's shouting you out.
Let's
Sataya,
go.
Craig, Soul Queen 88, shout out to her. We got Bitcoin Trader, I think that's right down your alley probably. Melissa Murphy and Fernando, I think Vale, I hope I didn't butcher that name.
I didn't see that one.
Yes.
Yo, mama's so fat. That one. That is wrong. We got
Goodness
Bitcoin
gracious.
Trader, the Suppliers Delivery, Mo, Benzinga, Nessa, Photo21com, Dilawar, Melissa Murphy, RVRSL, Day Trader Sky.
Boom.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. We are here. We are gonna get into it. Let's go. So today, I wanted to talk a little bit about NVIDIA. So NVIDIA seems like it was struggling a little bit with this day's high here around 139.80. And so I actually took this off the morning, off of my VWAP trade. You guys know me, my notorious VWAP trade. And so I scalped it out. I got in around 138.85. I was trying to get in around 138.50, but I got skipped over. It was just like a really fast move. And then I got in with this scalp, and then I started to notice a little bit of a top here in the morning, left it alone, and then it seems like it's curling up, going back to that top. So that's what I'm looking at today. How about you, Sharif?
Sounds good. I've got a bunch of small cap gappers. You know, it's not the best day for them today, so maybe that things will change. I've got a few we'll talk about, but first, as we always do, let's weasel into the lesson of the day. We're talking about earnings plays all week. Reason, case in point, obviously, we are in the midst of earnings season. So let's talk about it and learn how to identify these potential earnings plays. So earnings season presents both opportunities and risks. So learning to identify potential earnings plays can significantly enhance your trading strategy. Let's get a little bit more nuanced with it. So understanding these earnings plays. So an earnings play essentially is a trading strategy that aims to profit from stock price movement around the earnings release date. We're going to talk about some different options to be able to do that. Obviously, Joe not here today, but we're gonna talk a little bit about this, and then maybe he can get a bit more nuance to it with his lesson tomorrow. So long calls, right? This involves obviously this is an options thing. Involves buying call options on a stock. It becomes profitable if the stock price rises after the earnings play or significantly, and the risk is essentially limited to the premium paid for the option. So your risk exposure here is how much you forked over for that options contract. You can't lose any more than that, okay? Unless obviously you get assigned the shares, and that's a different story. And this is kind of what it looks like. So you've got your option screen over here. This is the calls side of it, so you'll see the strike price on the right. It'll show you the bid, the ask, the bid size, the volume, and the open interest, which is how much interest there is in that particular strike price on that particular expiration day. You'll notice on the top here that we have 3 days out, 10 days out, 17 days out, 24 days out. So these are this is the type of option screen you typically will have, or some derivative thereof, on your trading platform, but Adair's got something for us at the big desk.
Keep an eye on these MPOX related stocks here. I have SIGA. There's also GOVX. Both of these getting a bit of a pop as Sky reports that there's the first clade 1B strain of mpox detected in London. So potential news here of a London case of a certain strain of mpox. Keep an eye on these mpox stocks, guys.
Thank you for that, Adara. So you also have the long put. So you had long calls, which is you're betting the price will increase. Same thing for the long puts. You're betting on the price going down. So involves buying put options on a stock, on an equity, whatever you're looking at there. If it's profitable, if the price declines, preferably significantly after the earnings. I'm not saying that the stock you'll be profitable just if it declines. There has to be a requisite amount there. And the risk is limited to the premium paid for the options. So kind of the same look you're looking at the calls. Your exposure is how much you forked over for that put contract. You can't lose any more than that. And this is the other side of the option screen. So on the left side, we have the calls. On the right side, that's just the way mine is set up. You've got the puts. And then you've got your open interest, your volume, how much volume is taking place in that particular strike price on that particular day. And then you have the bid, ask, and the ask size. What I excluded here was the dates, the different days out, so the expiration dates that you have. But what I did like about this side is that you have the implied volatility percentage. And for whatever stock was this, what was this? Apple. This was back in August, though. The implied volatility on this bad boy was 32.3. Straddles as well, another options strategy that you can employ. This involves buying both a call and a put option on the same stock with the same strike price and the same expiration date. It becomes profitable if the stock price moves preferably significantly in either direction, but it requires a high degree of volatility in order to be profitable. So you may want to be looking at those ones that have a bigger implied move than the ones that have more of a subdued implied move. And if you recall our lesson from yesterday, I showed you one of the sources I use free for everybody. Market Chameleon shows you the implied volatility or the expected implied volatility prior to earnings. So that's kind of how the straddle option looks like. If you want to kind of depict it in an infographic, that's what it would look like there. There's also something called a calendar spread. This involves buying and selling options at the same, on the same stock with different expiration dates. That's the key variable here. It's less risky than the straddle as it benefits from that time decay that Joe often talks about on the shorter term option. It's profitable if the volatility is relatively stable or decreases. So a bit of a different nuance there. And that's the infographic of the calendar spread option strategy. You can kind of have a look at that and internalize it. So how do we screen for these potential plays? So we can obviously go and look at the earnings calendar, see what's coming up in the future, but there's a few different ones. Let's talk about the earnings calendar first. This is utilize an earnings calendar to identify upcoming earnings release dates. Prioritize, though, the companies with high potential for earnings surprises or significant market reactions. So look at the history of the company. What's its propensity for an earnings surprise, whether good or bad, as well as look at the ones with the higher implied move. So you're looking because you want significant market reactions. So if you're going to have that implied move, 10, 12%, it's likely going to be possibly more profitable than something with an implied move of 3 or 4%. And you could also consider the timing of the earnings release relative to other market events. Like, do you really want to get in possibly on an earnings morning for something that's reporting in the morning on the day that we get an FOMC rate decision or that we get CPI, possibly even the election? So these are things that you have to kind of put into your, keep in your mind when you're getting in these options contracts. Look at the expiration date. Is there anything important from an economic perspective, even political, in and around that date, okay? And here's kind of earnings whispers. It's nice and easy earnings calendar that you can utilize. There's a lot better, but this one depicts it obviously in picture format. There's also the fundamental analysis that you should be conducting on the company. Most of us use technical analysis to decide whether or not to get into these shorter term swing plays, but fundamental analysis is important as well. Look at the historical industry performance. So identify the sectors with positive growth prospects and earning expectations. So obviously AI, microchips, semiconductors, very much in vogue. Some people would even make the argument crypto stocks also in vogue at the moment. So look for things that are, in vogue during the time that you want to get in to these plays. Also keep your eye on company growth. So you're looking for companies with consistent revenue and earnings growth, demonstrating strong financial health. I think Andrew made a really good point about this earlier. The ones that are not breaking out, why do we expect them to break out? We should be looking at the ones that are making new highs or approaching highs. They're doing that for a reason. It's not usually by accident. Keep your eye on the analyst ratings as well. Consider stocks with a high consensus analyst rating and recent upgrades. There's obviously a lot made about, analysts wanting to downgrade stocks to buy more or to upgrade them to get out of positions. You can make of that what you will. I'm not going to go into any conspiracy theories here, but keep your eye on the analyst ratings. Earnings surprises as well. Analyze past earnings reports, screen, to identify patterns and trends. Surprise history, Ram. Surprise history, evaluate the company's track record of beating or missing earnings estimates as well. Keep that in mind. And the options Greeks, I'm not going to go into it too much because this is kind of Joe's territory, but there's the implied volatility that's important here. This measures the market expectations of for price fluctuations. The higher the implied volatility, often indicating increased option premiums, which can be beneficial for options-based strategies. But there's also the problem of time decay. You have to understand how the time value of options erodes as the expiration date approaches. This can influence your choice of expiration dates. And the delta, you can measure the option sensitivity to the changes in the underlying stock prices, helps assess the potential for profit and loss for different price movements. And theta, last but not least, represents the rate of time decay, and understanding this Greek is crucial for managing options positions. And last but not least, guys, here's an infographic of the Greeks if you want to take a picture of that, help you out. And last but not least, risk management. Make sure you're diversified, spread your risk across multiple stocks and strategies, unless you really want to do something specific within the industry. And position sizing as well, a determined appropriate position size based on risk tolerance and stop loss orders should always be employed. Implement those protective measures to limit potential losses. Sate.
Awesome. So thank you so much for that. In regards to earnings play, I actually wanted to speak a little bit about that. So with regards to earnings, a lot of the time I like the second day of the earnings rather than the first day, just because I find that on the first day I can get faked out, and I want to see more confirmation before I get in. So the two examples that I'm going to look at today is Google and AMD. So Google, their earnings was yesterday after the bell, and so I like it because the fact that it shows distinct levels to risk off of. So in the off the earnings, we came up in the aftermarket to around 181.25, and then as we go into intraday this morning, we got up to around 181.70, and then we're coming on the way down here. And so this is really interesting. The bus stop levels that I'm really looking at here is around 175.12 and around this this low here before the earnings came out, so around 169.60. And so, I think that it's possible for it to reach those levels going for the short. So those are really interesting levels for me as well on Google. And then AMD, same thing. This one is also a second day earnings play. So this came out in the aftermarket yesterday. And what I like about this is the fact that we're kind of reaching this day's low here. And I love my day's lows plays. I really like those. And so I'm looking for a possible bounce here around that 149.15 or a rejection. And then, not a rejection, further acceleration to the downside, breaking from this level at 148.90. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of the earnings plays. Some earnings plays that I wanted to go over that are for today, whether in the morning or after the bell. So we have Microsoft. This one is really interesting. This one is after the bell today. And this was really interesting. Nice distinct bounce at 940. We have this uptrend. We're retracing a little bit from VWAP, but I want to see a hold here around 435.50. So that seems interesting. If I see a little bit of a break, maybe we might see a little bit of a retracement there, but I feel like there would be lots of volatility for day trading for Microsoft. Same thing with Meta. Meta, is that today too? Yeah, so today after the bell. And so this is coming down as well. And so we had this top here in the morning in the pre-market. And so that was around 608.80. And then we had this strong flush down. We bounced at 940, tried to, break VWAP and go above around 599.28. And this is pretty distinct because it tried to break that $600 level and it just hasn't yet. And so those psychological levels, I find they really the bid really needs to step up at that point in order, for it to be a long position. But right now it's really struggling coming into those days lows. And so I'm looking for the short here as long as we can stay below VWAP. So that is really interesting. And then Eli Lilly, Adara had her eyes on this, and this was very, very interesting. She loves her Eli Lilly, yes. And so this is really crazy. Like, look at this trend, very strong trend to the upside. There was a bounce here at 942. And so we're having a little bit of a retracement here, but the trend is still strong. And so I want to see, it hold this trend line. Or I'm looking at around 823.98. And if we can break that level, then I think that VWAP definitely still can be in play. But I want to see a bounce here in order for the continuation of the long trend. So that is really interesting. Wouldn't really get in at these prices. I feel like you kind of missed the move there, but maybe wait for a pullback and see what it does there. So that's what I'm looking at Eli Lilly. And then CAT, this is not something I usually trade, on a day-to-day basis just because, it's a little bit choppy. There's not a lot of volume here. But when it's an earnings play, I get a little bit interested. And so what is very interesting about this is it didn't necessarily, it's at this. Is that the pre-market high? No, it's not. But the pre-market high here is 386.70. And so we look like we're, trying to get up there as well. We are trailing the 9 EMA, which I really like as well, something that I'm incorporating to my new strategy. So I really like that as long as we can't break that too heavily around 378.60. Maybe a little bit of a pullback there, but as long as we can hold that level, I still think that this trend is strong for CAT. And then ADP was also an earnings play as well, just naming out some earnings plays. This doesn't really look the greatest, chopping a little bit. I want to see a break of 292.56 or a break of 285.74, or else I'm not getting involved. It's just too much choppy action there, and so I don't really like that. And then HUM, the earnings was today in the morning. And so we had this bottom here around 248.09, and then this pre-market high here around 278.21. Long here, morning drive trade, trying to hold VWAP here. I want to make sure that it's not breaking this 265 for the continuation of the long trend. I want to make sure that if it does come here, it holds strong and then continues up. And then Etsy, very interesting as well. This is after the bell. This is breaking through VWAP. So not looking too great. It had this distinct top, 48.71. And so as long as it could stay below VWAP, I'm looking short here, and we're going to Adara.
We're going to take a look here, as we usually do around 11:20, at some of the larger movers in the S&P 500 to the upside and the downside of the day. If these are any other tickers or on your mind, make sure you vote for your ticker of choice. You have until 1:50 to do so. Just go in that chat, which is the subscribers only chat, so make sure you've liked and subscribed. Type !join, space, $, and your ticker of choice. The top 5 tickers will be looked at by Neil and Sean during that rundown, and Sharif will be gesticulating wildly, giving you that info on these tickers on this green screen. Now, we're going to actually start here. The theme for today is going to be spreading your tickers on earnings, and the first name here is actually the one I voted for in that chat. It's going to be Eli Lilly, LLY, down about 7% here, despite this beautiful recovery from lows of 770. These earnings were a miss across the board. Earnings per share miss, sales miss. They lowered the top end of their sales guidance, and they lowered their guidance across the board here for their earnings per share, saying that they incurred some charges during Q3 due to these acquisitions and in-process R&D charges as a result of said acquisitions. So LLY pretty sharply to the downside. HUMA is just mentioned by Satya there. This one to the upside. They did have a beat for earnings per share and for sales They also, guidance a little bit weaker, but shareholders still reacting positively to HUM. Last but not least, ABBV actually at high of days here, up more than 3%. Much like Eli Lilly, they are in that healthcare space. They did have a nice adjusted earnings per share beat, a sales beat, and they raised their guidance. So ABBV, HUM, and LLY, big movers. These are any other tickers you could always vote for in the chat, exclamation point, join space, $, your ticker until 150, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. Yeah, that was a really interesting report from Lily. We'll obviously dive a little bit more into that as the show goes on. But you were in the middle of your thing.
Yeah, for sure. So my point was I was looking at Etsy as well. This is earnings after the bell. So this is looking pretty weak as well. We have this a little bit of a downtrend here, bounce around 10, 12. And so usually I find at 10 a.m., this is usually when a new trade setup starts. So we had this morning drive trade, and then typically a reversal, depends long or short. I find it typically happens at 10 a.m. And so I'm finding that new trade opportunity is starting to kind of pan out here. And so what I'm looking at, my bus stop level around 47.10, that day's low for potential take profit level if I'm going short. And then the last thing I was looking at is SMCI. This doesn't necessarily have earnings today, but you guys were saying it in the chat. Oh yeah, it was today. It was in the pre-market. And so
no, we got a hit piece on that. That looks like Ernst & Young, the accounting firm, that was trying to get them out of trouble. Like, we're out.
Oh really? Okay, yeah. So
yeah, it looks like earnings because it was a big boy drop. But
oh,
yeah,
sorry,
right.
I was looking at the wrong thing.
Okay.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was looking at CAT. Yeah, it wasn't earnings today, but SMCI, they were saying that in the chat. And I thought this was really interesting as well. Someone was saying, is it long? Is it short? I mean, it's below VWAP. It does look like it's trying to curl, but I want to see it distinctly break above VWAP or break below VWAP. Wouldn't necessarily get in the middle here, but definitely looking interesting. How about you, Sharif?
Yeah, I got to agree with everything you just said there, Stay. Fantastic summary and fantastic specific analysis on the earnings play. Shout out to Stay, man. That's quality stuff. Guys, I'm involved in NVIDIA here off the volume weighted average price. Strictly the reason I'm in this, not because the group is strong. In fact, as I look on my side chart, every single microchip semiconductor name on my watch list, and there's a lot, is red on the day, likely as a result of the guidance maybe given by AMD. I'm still having trouble digesting this one. $500 billion by 2028 is going to be the market. At least that's what Lisa Su's finance team says. Anyway, we just wet our beak at 50. We're long 11s. I'm going to hold this one. Perhaps we can break trend. What I'm seeing right now on the 5-minute chart is that we're still putting in lower highs. So my concern is we've been using the 50 exponential moving average on the 5 as a level of resistance. It also could be price action. Basically looking at this area over here, that was the institutional print in the morning, bottomed out at 140. We had another attempt at 1010 at that 140 area, but it seems to me like it's that 50 exponential. So I'm going to keep my eye out on this one. If it wants to break the $50 and go, I'd be more than happy. Otherwise, it's all good. Raider, what do you got for us, my man?
Oh, I got some stuff. So just a little update on the KO trade. I actually did long calls at the money for this Friday's expiration. I am going to add some if we do start to continue to chop around 66.30. There is a liquidity traction, like I said, to 66. Now that we have reached that, we can expect a consolidation at the high here and then eventually to 67, which I will be monitoring today. But again, defensive rotation, what I want to speak on real just quick. We are starting to rotate out of defensives once again. So this kind of pause in the markets right now, we can expect some more price action into the upside. So be looking at things like healthcare, technology, and in my case, KO as well.
Raider, I got a question for you, buddy. Do you follow want and need? Have you seen those ETFs before?
Want and need? No, I have not.
One's a consumer discretionary, and the other one's a consumer staple ETF.
And it's called Want and Need?
Yeah,
that's pretty
a little
funny.
On the nose, but
okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with those.
He's not familiar. All right, man. Thank you for that. I just want to shout you out there because you were mentioning the rotation out of defensive. So good look. All right, guys. I'm still keeping my eye on NVIDIA here. We're doing well. There is a top of note at around the two-thirds, of $1, 139.60 is where we rejected last time. Let's see if this bad boy wants to take us up to 69, because that's where we're going to hang out. What's life without whimsy, baby? We're sitting at 63s right now. Let's see if we get that 69 Principia. Down 1.15 right now on the monster NVIDIA. But there it is as we take that one out. All right, good trade there. 5 little outs on NVIDIA, and that will be a nice little way to start the show. What are you doing?
For sure. So I was actually just about to punch in, but yeah, caught me off guard there. But yeah, that it's okay. But it's okay. But yeah, that day's high, that break is looking really nice right now. I like the fact that it held that VWAP. Love that. Love that. Love that. And so we look like we're breaking up. And so definitely like that as well. My take profit levels that I'm looking at is around 140.53 and then around 141.14. And so that is really interesting. And so I'm going to switch it up, though, a little bit. We're going to go a little bit at crypto because I seen it flushing a little bit. So I'm looking at Ethereum right now, and around 2,715, we had that rejection here. And then we're coming here to this VWAP level around 2,672. That was the VWAP level. Then we have a little bit of a bounce, 2,683. That is looking really nice. If you look on the longer trend, since Tuesday, we see that it's holding this VWAP. And so what I really like about this is the fact that it came to this VWAP level and then it had a strong wick here on the 3-minute. And so in order to get involved, because it still is kind of a downtrend, I want to see a break above the 9 EMA. I want to see at least 2 candles close above this 9 EMA. And once we get that, I definitely think that this is starting to be a nice continuation of the long. Or if we break this level, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 2,600 again or even 2,550. But I want to see that hold there. So very interesting. But going back to equities, that NVIDIA is working, that NVIDIA is printing. Yes, so that looks sick. That looks awesome. And I'm going to punch in there. How about you? I'm going to pass it on to you, Sharif.
Yeah, I'm just lamenting, obviously, as I typically do, Satea, having taken it out far too early. And that is kind of my thing. That's my jam. Now we're up into 140 here on the monster NVIDIA. Some size just got blown through. There was about 2,000-3,000 lots there, just got eaten up quick as you like. We're above it, zigging and zagging with that whole dollar right now. NVIDIA now just down 4/5 as it looks to go back into greenery. To get back into greenery, we got to get above that 141.25, 141.33. That is the closing print from yesterday. Again, I waxed poetic about this yesterday, and I want to say it again. This NVIDIA and AMD are not equal. They are not kind of on the same level. One is a pure play AI play. They just strictly make GPUs. In fact, he's the godfather of AI for a reason. The dude was on a napkin writing up his designs for these parallel processing chips back at Denny's. Who's heard that anecdotal story before? Whereas AMD is very much ensconced in the CPU game. So they are not the same. So AMD, could have a bad quarter, this, that, and the other, but I don't know. I think if you're really looking at playing that AI play from a hardware perspective, obviously, we're talking NVIDIA. Obviously, Broadcom involved in that conversation as well, but I don't think they're even strictly GPUs. I think they do deal with CPUs and other semiconductors as well. I'll have to look into that, but in any event, let's see what else is moving. Somebody wanted me to look at Microsoft. Let's have a look at Microsoft. So it's a nice little hold up there at that 436. Generally, you do get it breached, but the closing prints all around that 436 area. It's too consolidative for me. I do like the higher lows. I do like the hold up at VWAP. It looks as if here on the 5-minute chart, we had about a 4 or 5 candle hold up at the 50 exponential moving average on the 5. It does look like it's basing its resistance level off that. I don't have a level at 438 and a third, 438 to 438.5. That's of any note or any importance. Let's have a look back a little bit. Let's see if that level comes in. No, it doesn't. So my inclination is to believe that it's rejecting off the 50. I personally wouldn't trade Microsoft at these levels. It's too consolidative, but it is holding VWAP. So if you're able to get something off the volume weighted average price and you're of the opinion that this goes up, well, have at it. But it ain't for me right now. Amazon just worked in off this double bottom, this 193 hold, and now is working its way back into VWAP at 194. It did reject generally at VWAP at around 10:30, from 10:30 to about 10:40, 10:45. And then it rejected, only to hold up again at 192. So this one looks like it might be setting up for a double bottom. From our previous discussion on reversal patterns, what kind of trend needs to precede a double bottom? A downtrend. You got that. Right up 940, you got a big boy drop off that 195.61 top. We dropped quick as you like to 192.67. Let's see if, number one, we can get above 194, which is where VWAP is on my chart right now. And then number two, can we get above that $quarter level, 194.25? Because that's the neckline for the double top, for the double bottom, excuse me. So let's see if we can get going here. AMZN, it's green, it's very green, 1.62, 1.63. Obviously, it's not doing Google numbers, but it's the second best performing Mag 7 name on the day, with Tesla being number 3 and Meta being, or Microsoft being number 4, excuse me. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Amazon is a bit more clear of a setup, if I could say so. Apple, the dead one, was just selling off to start the day. It couldn't catch a bid if its life depended on it. But for whatever reason, it found its base here at 230.5. Now we're weaseling up to 231.5. Let's see what we do, though, at 230, 190, 232. Well, how come? Because that's the volume weighted average price. So I want to see how we trade in and around VWAP on Apple. You know, I feel like, you know, a lot of people looking to de-risk here ahead of earnings. A lot of concern that the iPhone sales may not meet the demand, at least in the short term. A lot of also, you know, dissatisfaction with the first iteration of Apple Intelligence being released, I think, a couple of days ago. But it's nothing we didn't know, guys. We knew that there were going to be 3 release dates, 2 slated for this year, 1 for next, and that the big boy of the AI releases was going to be that next year drop. So looks as if people de-risking here in front of Apple's earnings on Thursday.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. So yeah, I just punched into that NVIDIA, but I'm not liking the price action of this right now. So I think that I'm going to get out of that. But what I am looking at as of right now is SMCI. So I didn't think that I wanted to get involved yet just because there was a little bit of choppy action here, but this does look like a serious short here. We do have like this downtrend here, and then we have this consolidation here. And, you know, we have this tight consolidation, and so I want to see the break of this consolidation range around 33.68. And so I definitely think that that is possible. We do have the negative catalyst. We do have this downtrend. We're below VWAP. There's just so many confluences here. And then if we look at the RVOL is pretty high. Like, look at that. The RVOL is 8.49. And so that is pretty drastic there. So this is looking like a decent short as of right now. I would post around 33.77 and then looking for that break there on SMCI. And then Google is very interesting as well. I thought that, you know, this would have been a short, but it looks like it's curling a little bit up here. I just don't want to get bamboozled, though. I still want to see it get above that VWAP. And so I'm going to put alert here around 180.10, and then hopefully we can get up there. I want to see if it holds. I want to see a little bit of, you know, a consolidation around here, just a little bit of that action, and then go to the upside. So that's what I'm looking in terms of Google. And then what else do I have here? I had NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA, I mean, it looks like it's still trailing up. So maybe I'm just going to hold a little bit strong. But if it does break below this 139.25, I think that is looking like it's strong. So it looks like it might stop me out there, but that is okay. So that is what I'm looking at in terms of that. What do you guys have in the chat? Let's see. Tesla shorts printing right now. Let's see Tesla.
It just came into the 20, on the 5. Good call.
Oh yeah, that is definitely coming down here. We have this break here. It looks like it's approaching VWAP, and so that is very, very interesting. We have this distinct level. We have kind of like a double top here on 263.43. It's coming down here. I want to look on the higher time frame. What do I see here? Okay, yeah, it looks like VWAP definitely is in play where it might retrace there. I want to see what it does at this level here, around 260.32, 260.30. Let's just make it easy. And I want to see what it does there. Want to see if it bounces there or breaks below there. If we look on a higher time frame, like what are we doing on the week? What are we doing on the day? Okay, so on the week, it looks like there's a little bit of resistance here around 270.60. But we did have this strong candle last week, and so that's very interesting. Maybe on the weekly, we might see a little bit of a retracement around 241.55. But for our day traders, we just want to see what it does on the day, going to VWAP, seeing what it does at this VWAP level. And then someone's saying, Satya, can you look at LMND earnings tonight? Yeah, for sure. Let's look at that.
Lemonade? What is that?
Lemonade. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so that is coming out after the bell today. And so I'm going to look on a higher time frame just because I'm not too familiar with this ticker. But okay, this is interesting. What I like about this is we do have a consolidation here, but we're going to Adara.
No. I was just waving to them because she had me up. I don't know why.
Okay. No worries. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. So we do have this consolidation here. This was from November of 2023. Okay, that is very interesting. That's pretty distinct, like on a higher time frame. And so we have this range ranging from, okay, this started in October of 2023. The high here was 22.05 within this range. The bottom was around 1360, and so we look like we're trying to hold, you know, the higher part of this range, but you know, it's still in a consolidation range. I feel like there's, I mean, it is kind of far. I mean, with these smaller caps, I don't know. Like, what do you think about this, Sharif? Like, is something like $22, $21.66, is that kind of out of reach? Because that's what I see here, like on the consolidation.
All right, just got to set up my stop.
Yeah,
if
for
I have
sure.
to look
Do your
at this.
thing.
So let me just have a look right now. It's LMND?
Yes.
All right, let's bring in the chart that seems to have disappeared. Yeah, but it's all good. Let's bring in this one. We'll flip to one of the daily movers. Which one are we going to take off? We're going to take off Mira because it's boring me to death. LMND. Let's have a look at this. So we're looking at the daily on this one?
Yeah, I'm looking on the daily.
All
and
right.
so, like, for me personally, I like the breakout trades, right?
Oh, yeah.
So do you think this is out of reach around 22.10? I mean, it didn't get up here since, like, February of 2024, so.
This just seems like the market has met equilibrium here because you're not getting any higher highs. You're not getting any distinct trend. That's just my observation. This takes us all the way back, Satya, to March 2022. So this is really interesting. Since that March 2022, we've been basically $30 generally. I mean, it's breached it a couple of times. $30 is the top, and the low side about 10. So you got a $20 range for a period of over now. We're going 2.5 years. I need something different. I really need to see something. It's got to break above. Give me higher lows. Give me lower highs. Show me a distinct trend. But it's super consolidative. Raiders got some for us though at the big desk.
Oh, I got something for all of you right now. One trade I'm looking at right now, which I'm currently long, is Boeing, BA. If you want to just throw up my chart real quick. Whenever I look for a technical aspect to time when to properly long, you want to look for a point of max pain, or a point where a max of one side, an extreme, was hit. And this right here was Boeing. We call this a liquidation or max pain. You have an instant gap down, all the sellers get out, then you have a rally back into the zone. I'm currently long Boeing, and I expect 160 by the end of the week. And why is that? Well, there's a liquidity traction in the open interest market to that 160 strike. I'll be looking for that to add any more size, guys. But Boeing, looking for a breakout here, especially since we are just getting past Euro close at 11:30 a.m.
I love the data that you're using, dude. Completely different than the data we look at every day, man. Shout out to you. Excellent research. Shout out to Raider, man. You were on.
Yeah, for sure. So I was looking at the element for you. But
You're muted. You're muted. Yep. You're good. No.
Sorry, keep coughing, guys. I didn't want to cough in your ear. But yeah, going back to the LMND, I feel like if you're long-term investing, I feel like you want to make sure that you're waiting for more confirmation here. And so I think that 2190, if you're looking for the break, I feel like that is going to give you more confirmation rather than you trying to, get in here. Because what if it takes you another 2-3 years for it to really break this level? You don't want to hold on to your position for that long when your money can be, better spent somewhere else with things that are moving. And so I think that is a better play, just waiting, maybe set an alert or set your your order here, but getting in here, I think it's just a little bit of a risky play. It's not giving you a definitive long, it's not giving you a definitive short, so that's what I have, and we're going to Raider. Or Dare.
Let's take a look here as we do around 11:40 every day at some of these earnings names. If these are any other tickers are on your mind, make sure that you vote for them in the chat, !join space, $, and your ticker of choice. You have until 1:50 to do so, and the top 5 tickers will be analyzed by Sean and Neil, as well as the sectors that they're in at 2 p.m. during our rundown. So we're going to look here first at some day one moves. We've talked a lot about Google earnings and AMD earnings, but I want to talk about some of these names we haven't mentioned as much, starting with Reddit, which is near days highs, up 42%, right now waffling around that 116 level. They had a earnings per share beat, actually surprise profit here, GAAP EPS of 16 cents versus 8 cents expected. They beat, or 8 cent loss expected, sorry. They beat on sales and they had higher than expected Q4 revenue guidance. So this is a great look, 40% year over year increase in daily active unique users, 90.1% gross margin. Nice look here for RDDT across the board. Chipotle here, a little bit of a different story. This one chipping to the downside a bit here. They beat on EPS, but they lost on sales. They had a 6% comparable sales increase. And it's worth noting here that sales loss was in spite of a 13% year over year increase. So missing estimates, but not a bad number here necessarily entirely. We did have a authorization of a $900 million repurchase program. So adding $900 million to their stock repurchase program for CMG in its first report since the surprise leaving there of former CEO Brian Niccol. Last but not least here, we have Snap, SNAP, up about 15%, beating on earnings per share, beating on sales. Q4 revenue a little bit missing here on the low side, but the high side beating there for their guidance range. They did have a 15% year over year increase on revenue and a 9% increase for daily active users. Now we're going to talk about what we have on watch for tomorrow because it's a doozy here. Tonight we're going to get Meta and Microsoft. Microsoft analysts are looking for $64.4 billion in revenue and $3.08 earnings per share. Meta, $5.19 earnings per share estimate on a revenue estimate there of $40.14 billion. We'll also get reports from Coinbase, Roku, Riot, MSTR, which isn't even on this board, DoorDash, Etsy, Robinhood, Carvana, Starbucks, and Twilio. So it's a stacked evening. Then tomorrow morning, we'll get Uber, UBER, Peloton, MasterCard, Estee Lauder, Norwegian Cruise Lines here, among others, and Roblox. It should be a really exciting day for these earnings. If these or any other tickers are on watch, make sure you vote in that chat, guys.
It's a stacked earnings calendar.
It was. I looked at it and I was just like, I was super excited because it wasn't just like the random tickers that you're like, I'm not interested. It's just like the big names. It is the big one. So we're looking for that volatility. It's going to be a crazy week. And then don't we have the election coming up next week?
Yes. On Tuesday. So look, everything.
Yeah.
And we got FOMC a couple of days after that. They had to actually bump it because of the election.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we have lots of going on in the market. So I feel like it's going to be a very, very volatile couple of weeks, guys. So get your money ready. You know, make sure that you have your risk management in place because things can get very, very volatile. But for our day traders, it is going to be a good season right now. But right now, I just added to my NVIDIA position. And so I got in a little bit of a dip buy around 139.87. My mic's on? Okay, yeah. Just wanted to make sure of that. And so I was going to get out of this trade, but I'm like, you know what, Satya? The trend has not broken yet. You are just being a little bit finicky. And so I'm staying convicted in the trade. And so I'm going to put my stop at break even, and then we're going to Adara.
Keep an eye here on BSX here. This one is dropping a little bit, down about 3%, it looks like here, and making a bit of a volume spike to the downside there. Well, this one just got a catalyst saying that its aortic valve system failed to meet some of these statuses here in this key trial. So there was a 16.16 composite rate of mortality, stroke, or rehospitalization versus 9.53%. So larger, apparently, chance here of mortality, stroke, or rehospitalization. Not a great look here for this BSX trial, that is for sure. This one a bit of a larger market cap, $123 billion market cap. It is in the S&P 500 there for context, and at 1.47 billion share float, but a bit of a volume move to the downside on that bad trial news, guys.
I don't want any of that. I don't want any mortality. I don't want any stroke. And I don't want to go to the hospital.
No, ma'am.
So I'm not taking that.
No, for sure.
Stay the hell away from that.
No, for sure. So I'm still in this NVIDIA trade. This is looking really, really great. Let me go back to NVIDIA, not AMD. NVIDIA.
AMD.
So let's go. So this one is really, really strong. like I said before, or if you guys are tuning in, I like the bounce off of that VWAP, and then we are trailing the 9 EMA. I'm looking at this kind of high. It's not necessarily the top of the pre-market, but we have this level here around 140.56, 140.50. This is, you know, a $0.50 level, so this is something that I am looking at. So very interesting in terms of NVIDIA. And then what else do you guys look at? Amazon is quality. Let's take a look at
Kind of is,
Amazon.
yeah.
Oh yeah, oh wait, going before Amazon, SMCI, it's looks like it's approaching this 33.75 level, which I was looking for this break, and so I really want to see that. Do I still have an order there? Not for this one, but this one looks like it's going to the downside for my short traders. And then we're gonna go over to AMZN. Amazon, very interesting. Okay, so we have a little bit of a bounce here, 192.68, and then again around 192.95. We do have higher lows coming in here since 10 a.m. So I really like the fact that there was a different trade. So there was a morning drive trade that you can see. This was kind of the action going down, and then we're starting a new kind of trade. This was like a new trade here. So this is the 9 a.m. kind of morning drive to the downside. Then we had that bounce. We're having a little bit of a pullback, and then it looks like we're going to the upside. But we want to see a break above this VWAP level in order for more confirmation for the long. But it looks pretty good. I really like the fact that it had this a little bit of a consolidation here before this break up. But for even more confirmation, we do want to see the break of that VWAP so we don't get faked out there. So that is what I am looking at. And then Google still kind of fighting with VWAP, not really making a distinct move yet. And then someone saying TTD is quality. Let's see. What do you mean by TT is quality? What do you mean by that exactly? Let me know in the chat. But okay, so this is very interesting as well. This had a bounce at 121.38. Get rid of that drawing. And then what I do like about this is it's approaching this aftermarket high from yesterday, and then it's breaking kind of above this pre-market high. So you guys know I love those type of trades. Shout out to you for that in the chat, for bringing it to my attention. This looks really great. This looks really strong. I like the fact that it only broke below VWAP kind of once, and then there was strong bidders trying to bid that up. And so this looks really, really great. What is my bus stop level? That is really the question here. Okay, let's look on a higher time frame. Is this all-time highs?
Gee.
Okay, wow, so no bus stop level for this. Okay, oh wait,
That's why he's saying it's quality.
Yeah, that is quality for sure. So yeah, it's in a price discovery right as of right now. And so, you know, we'll stick to, you know, like the even dollar levels. We want to look at around 125. That looks very interesting. And then another level that I'm looking at is 130. But that is really, really nice. Shout out to you for that. We are at all-time highs, and so that is very interesting for TTD. And then what else do we got here? I'm going to take a look at my NVIDIA. What is it doing? Okay, a little bit kind of at my entry price. 4 cents below, but I'm still convicted in this long. I don't think I'm gonna take anything out there. And then someone saying AMC with the little eyes. So let's see what AMC is doing.
See Catman?
Oh, did he mention something about AMC?
Yeah, Darren brought it to us. Oh, well, he was talking about GME. Well, I think actually he was talking about Chewy.
Okay.
He dropped his stake. There it is. I just mentioned it quickly. Chewy drops after Roaring Kitty dumps stake. It wasn't a GameStop style play, says Barron's. Yeah. Just wanted to mention that since you brought him up. Okay, so is it kind of like, because it's related to Roaring Kitty, AMC is kind of making the move? I don't know, yeah. Though that group, I know he's GME specific.
Yeah, but it's kind of like correlated a little bit around
that
time. Yeah, not necessarily, but in terms of just being related to Roaring Kitty and things like that. But, but this looks very interesting as well. What I'm looking at here is around 470. This was Monday, September 30th. That was around the high. Was this intraday? Let's see here. September 30th. Okay, so yeah. So for around 470, this was around 1830. So I'm looking at that level for a potential bus stop level. How about you, Sharif?
I'm looking at a couple of movers right now. Guys, we have our potentially first halt candidate. It hasn't halted quite yet, or has it? Let me just double check, make sure I'm accurate. No, it has. Sorry. It's up halted twice already. The ticker VSTE, a cool, a light, a decent 110% up on the day. Zigging and zagging with 2 right now. The high of the day, 227. It's trying to hold 2 right now. Here are the halt levels. The first halt level, $1.89. They're not far apart, and $1.87. Reason I mentioned those, I use them sparingly as areas of support and resistance, essentially intraday support and resistance, off which perhaps to get a dip trade, sometimes they do act as support once they are cleared. So keep your eye on this one, VSTE. It's really going here. Let me just make sure that there is no catalyst. Not that I'm seeing. There was yesterday, though, a catalyst. So this could be a carryover from yesterday. And here is the catalyst. Vast Renewables, Ram, surges on plans for U.S. green methanol and an SAF project. That's the look there. Not going to read too much into this, but looks like it is a continuation play. Let me have a look at the 15 to see if we got that big boy spike in the aftermarket yesterday. No, we got bupkis yesterday, and that headline that I just read to you guys came out like at 6 minutes to 4. So it didn't trade in the aftermarket the way I anticipated. Usually a lot of the times, they're going to run in the aftermarket because the halt parameters are gone. So all the traders are pumping this one up into an oblivion until, the money runs out. So anyway, VSTE getting its pump midday as well. This bad boy didn't start off in the pre-market with any significant volume. The first big boy volume candle came in at a quarter to the hour about 7 minutes ago here. So I'm just having eyes on it right now. It's not one that I can immediately punch into at the moment, but I'm keeping my eye on VSTE. Seems like that $2 area of importance. VWAP a little bit below $2 at $1.93. And it behooves me to give you the details on this. So it's a $63 million market cap with that latest pump. It's traded already, even though it just started getting its footing under it, about 7.5 million shares on a $2 name. So not that much. The float is about 2.75 million shares or so, says my platform. And then let's find out over here using trade ideas what the short float, if any, is. VSTE is the ticker, and it's a negligible short float, saying about 0.55 of said float is being boarded for short. So not something I'm going to look for to squeeze from a short perspective, but it has a smaller float in general, and that by virtue of that alone, it can squeeze. So keeping my eye on this one, don't need to be first. This one is breaking out though, and it's got a really respectable pattern, CVRX. And this one is not up as much, obviously, nearly as much as VSTE, but the chart pattern looks quite, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for right now. Good. All right, move it into that $14 area. It's a $302 million market cap. It's got volume issues, though. So we haven't even gotten to that 800,000 shares traded on the day. We're still at 792,000. It's been awfully respectful, though, of the 10 exponential. And even when it breached it, look at that hold up at VWAP, like literally to the penny. That's the candle of indecision at 10:45, closes neutral. And then every single subsequent candle has made higher highs and higher lows. It is a discernible trend. It also is at that level right now. Well, it actually took it out, that IB high, implied balance high that we printed at 935, which took us all the way up to 1380. We've already breached that by 10 pennies by virtue of the fact that the high of the day is 1390. So CVRX certainly of interest to me at these levels, but it's going to have to come into the 10 exponential because what we've seen on the 5-minute is every single candle, for the exception of this candle of indecision here at 1045, has respected the 10. So I'm just trying to put the odds in my favor. I'm not Nostradamus, so we're just going to try to see. I know, believe it or not, we're going to try to keep the odds in our favor by doing just that. JL, you guys have been yelling about JL in the chat, and I like it. I do like it. There is issues with it though. So number one, we weaseled up into that dollar trade, and then we got met with a wall of selling. It doesn't have to be at that dollar. It's in and around $1.94. It looks like we weaseled up into almost 95 pennies, and then it's been 4 big boy red candles, now taking us to flat. So we're back at that 80 penny area. That's exactly where we closed yesterday. I didn't like this for a few reasons. One, now we're negative on it. It just dropped 4 pennies on a 70 penny name. So that's big, right? So I don't like this, the way it's setting up. Now look at this. It's just losing the bid, bruh. Like, this is really going down right now. JL is in some trouble over here. I'm going to let this one do its thing. It's not how I'm looking to set up. It had a 2 candle hold up at VWAP, and that was as good as it was going to get, and then it flushed. So that ain't for me, homie. Going to leave that one to do its thing. LMND, though, the one you mentioned earlier and the one somebody asked you about, it's working its way back into VWAP, 1865. I can be persuaded to get in here. Let me see. Now, you don't have to be first to this trade. As my friend Neil likes to say, some stocks need you to earn their, they need to earn your trust. Some of them are like, you know, you can get in at a level and you can feel confident that I'm going to put a resting order at that level and come what may. Some others, you don't really want that smoke. This is the one I needed to prove that it's going to hold up. So I'm going to have to get it on the back end, so to speak, right? And if it wants to curl up, give me a couple of green candles there to make new highs. I'm all eyes, ears, and whatever else. So LMND, we're going to throw that up on there. Last but not least, guys, I have to put some respect on SoFi's name today because SoFi is a dang rocket. Look at this. It's having a really good day. I mean, it's up at the high of the day right now, 1135. It's up 8%. I know it gave back a little bit yesterday, but that's fine. I mean, it went green or red, and I'm not really sure why. It looks like some profit taking there because there wasn't really a whole lot that was bad with that report. Anyway, we're right back at the previous day's highs, not yesterday, but Monday's highs. We just took them out, 11 1/3. Obviously, we got that $12 area as resistance. This one as well, SOFI, awfully respectful of the 10 exponential moving average on the 5, or so it has been so far. Yesterday, we closed out at, let me just put the closing print there, 1047, so essentially 10.5. SOFI, definitely on watch. Don't need to be first, but I'm looking for a bit of a deeper retracement here on SoFi. This looks like institutional buying. People are liking this name. There's a bit of a tailwind with rates coming down, possibly student loan forgiveness getting kiboshed. If the election goes one way, we know that that's a big revenue driver for them where they look to take higher interest student loans, refi them at lower rates, and that's been one of their moats. So keeping an eye on SoFi, Satea. Those are the ones I've got up on watch.
Awesome. So I wanted to go over a little bit of my SMCI trade. So I got in around 33.61, and then I got out 33.54 for a little bit of a scalp. So just going to show you guys here. So we're going to Adara before.
We're going to take a look here at what this market has done so far today. It's been a pretty exciting day here for the S&P 500 and the Qs. Nice recovery here after a bit of a rounded top. We have a push back up to highs here on that S&P 500, at least recent highs anyway, around that 583 level. We have lots of earnings on watch. We had reports from Microsoft. So we have reports from Microsoft and Meta tonight, as well as days like Coinbase, MSTR, and RIOT. Then yesterday, we had some reports from Google and AMD on watch, as well as Reddit, Snapchat. It's been quite the earnings week, that's for sure. Arguably the biggest earnings week we have. But that's not all that's on watch. Crypto. Still trying to waffle around and potentially make a new all-time high near that 74,000 level. We also have a big move down here in SMCI. Supermicro still down about 31%. First, we had the auditor resigning here, citing some concerns with governance and transparency on their board, saying that they have some doubts about their integrity and reliability when it comes to the financial statement. So another blow for Supermicro, making a more than micro move to the downside, also saying they're going to be scheduling their conference call for Q1 2025 on November 5th, 2025. I believe they meant 2024. They have not yet corrected that typo. So SMCI on watch to the downside. Then we also have VSTE. This one actually had some pre-market move, but getting a nice move here during the midday, announcing they signed a development services agreement with this energy company. 2 million share float for Vast Renewables. If these are any other tickers are on your watch, get in that chat and vote, !, join space, $, and your ticker. Let's go see what Neil's doing on his lesson of the day.
In an absolute shocker, and in what I'm sure to surprise you, is lesson of the day is going to be a little bit focused on SMCI. And I think a lot of times when you know what hits the fan, obviously you're going to want to look for trading opportunities. When a stock goes from, essentially not much happening, they're not one of the earnings names like AMD or like Google or Reddit, you're not expecting anything out of the ordinary from SMCI. Yeah, sure, maybe it's going to be a little bit volatile because it had been, I guess, grinding higher and you had a little bit of a solid range here, like a 10% range the last week. So you might have thought that you could have some maybe long continuation plays, or maybe you thought it was going to break a shelf here because AMD is going down. Who knows? Whatever happened, you have to throw everything that you thought about the stock out the window in the short term and just try and look for other things. Now, usually I'm going top down. And we talk about a top-down approach, generally meaning look at a daily chart for trends. That's not split adjusted. Go to a 15-minute to try to find levels. What are you supposed to do with this? You're not going to find levels on a 15-minute chart because of how big the gap is. So I've actually moved my 3-minute chart to a 1-minute chart because you're really breaking it down and doing the absolute opposite here, which is going very granular to look for how you can find some trades. Now, clearly, when the news of their auditor leaving dropped, it was all chaos and all panic. And when that happens, you want to look for some obvious liquidity points or decision points. Like, where does it find these little areas of liquidity? Now, the first green candle on a 1-minute just happens to have support at 37.5. And I'm not going to bury the lead. Who cares? You guys can already see. I'm not going to wait till we get to analyzing this part of the day. That was a halt up price, and that was a turn. I mean, that's your first area where liquidity actually came in and buyers wanted to try to get involved and stall the move. The sellers sort of slowed down. So was it key? Yeah, absolutely it was. But then you got to look for some other levels because at the open, you were underneath that price. So you can look right here in the pre-market, the first significant bounce right into the 35 area. And that's a huge, huge telltale sign. And then right at the open, you're going to have a 35 fail again. So you're keyed off at 35. It's not a coincidence we're waiting for 35 later in the trade. And then I like to look for these little reversals in here. Let me zoom in a little bit too far there. Zoom back out. There we go. These little hiccup points. See in here, just around the 34 level. So you fail 35 here. This nice consolidation, rejection above about 33.70 to 33.80. Rejection of a break of 34 and a consolidation under for a push. Then you have another consolidation just underneath the 34 level. Okay, so I know 34 is going to be a key price. So you mark off, you got 34, you like 35, you know 37.50 is that high. Now, obviously, in utter and complete hindsight, a breakout through 35 could have given you a very good scalp trade. Or you could have just shorted the 37.5. So those are the types of things you could do. Now, obviously, we waited, and when those weren't there, wait for some confluence. 35, and there's a reason you would have heard us say only look for the 35 bounce, view ops at 35, key price level, wait for it to get to that price. But you know what? The bounce was okay, but the fail of that price for a short was better. And when you have a very large directional move and an obvious, this is bad news, it's trend down, clearly that's going to be the case, those big levels can be reversal levels. Now, I'm not going to ever advocate every single out or decision point is a point that you would reverse from long to short, but there are some instances where it just makes sense. Because these were key levels initially because that's where sellers came into the stock, or at least buyers stopped having strength. Sellers came into the stock. It was really only strong into a halt and then a small bounce off VWAP. So what you look for and what ends up being the better opportunity is the sell back in. Now it's SSR, so you had to try to get more shares on the way back up because you can only hit the bid for so much. But that key 35 price, that's an example of a reversal. It's a key price, but it was sell on the initial test of that price. So yeah, the long worked initially, but then the long didn't, and you work into the short trade. Now I'm going to scalp it because remember that 34 level that we talked about, scalp into the 34, that was key. But underneath that, there's nothing until you get to right in here at 33.5. So when it hit 33.5, I essentially trailed it to the previous break and it broke down. So now that it's broken down, my trail is at 33.5 and I'll let it go till 32. So the thing you can do while all you know what is breaking loose, and maybe you're not into trading this when it's going ham in the pre-market, that's fine. What you should be doing is maybe just marking off a few levels that you know are going to be key. Like you throw in a 35 in there. You throw in like a 37.5 in there. You throw in that 34 area as well. It's more like a 33.80 or so. You throw that in there, and then you can see some of these bottoms. And now all of a sudden, you have places that you want to trade it. You let it get to that price. If you're not trading it there, be patient. You want the long, let it get into your price. Put that reminder out there for you. You want to reverse because that's a key level, but make sure you're scalping to here, holding through this. And suddenly, I've got an implicit guide to my trade. So now that I'm holding on to the last 10%, I can essentially just allow it, had trail to here, it breaks down. Now we're going to trail it to the lower high and hold it for that 32. Chaos is going to happen in the markets. That is not going to change. You are not obligated to trade some stock just because it decided to go ham. Maybe you just went long Reddit and you would have been just fine today. But when SMCI hit, you want to make sure you're paying attention. If you're going to trade it, what's going on at these key price levels in the tape? Were sellers overwhelming there? Well, then are they going to do it again? And when they do it again, be ready to strike. Because liquidity vacuums are some of the most important indicators that you can get when you've got a big time in play stock. When there is a vacuum in liquidity, where do the algos turn back on in the buy direction if it's tanking, in the sell direction if it's heading back to the upside? And when they start making a market and more aggressively, you get these little points of liquidity, and then those end up mattering later on in the day. The algos are giving you a hint. It's your job to listen so that when the open happens, you can start to trade SMCI with a little bit more confidence, even though it's going absolutely ham. So that is your lesson of the day. Good luck trading, and go Reddit.
I like that. At the end there, the eyebrow, people's eyebrow. Shout out to Neil. Thank you very much. And look who's here.
We're in the hot seat.
Hey, I like it.
Wait, my mic's not on.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I should talk for a little bit. No worries. We're going to get him. He's going to be fine. All right, guys, let's look at Meta for a second because Meta's been working Ram into that $600 level for a hot minute. Obviously, it breached it in the pre-market. It was running aftermarket yesterday into all-time highs. In fact, at 4 a.m. this morning is when we printed all-time highs on the Zuck train. I believe we did get as high as $608.86. But as you can see, we've been working our way down there. So obviously running in sympathy with Google because they're both in the digital ad game. And there is that big boy spike that we got at 4 o'clock yesterday, which sent Meta off that 593 closing print. By the time 8 p.m. came around, we literally closed at the day's high right at that 8 p.m. or 7:59 ticker right there, which was $606.90. So what a move up for Meta. It's having trouble with 6 now during regular market hours. Not really surprised with that. Obviously, $600 is a big boy level. It's been above it before, but it's had trouble breaking through. It's not like that $200 Bezos shelf on Amazon. Everything okay there, Ram?
So other than me breaking half the equipment in the studio already, we are looking at KO. For those that took KO, I actually longed this one this morning today in-house, and this one I'm currently still in calls. We talked about 67 being the high for this that I'm targeting by the end of the day. That's around 2.5%, 2.25%, and I'm going to keep riding this one momentum. Again, this is just off the defensive rotation. We expected this when a slow grind happens in the market. You often get defensive start to pop. So KO, I'm still in this one. I'm going to add over $66.50. I'll add to the trade for $67.
Do you do any basket trades? Because I know you love your options. So like there was that whole Coke GLP kind of counter trade there. You ever dabble in that?
So as far as across different sectors, even doing the ETF entirely or just multiple stocks at once, I try to limit my exposure within the same kind of ETF or the same kind of sector. So with KO versus Pepsi, the simple decision was made that, well, why didn't I long Pepsi versus KO? Well, KO had the higher relative strength. It was moving more than Pepsi was, and it was at the highs while Pepsi was at the lows. So that was my decision making there. Just long the leaders off the low and get that bigger continuation. Sounds good, man.
I don't really like anything at the moment right now. I've been really scouring these markets, keeping an eye on the Mag 7, obviously. The meta trade is definitely has me interested. The higher lows, the higher highs, the kind of retracement back off that big boy drop that we got right at the opening bell, dropping essentially from that level we're at right at the bell, 605 all the way down to 592. Trying to recover, but as I mentioned, having trouble with 600. Amazon, also an interesting one here. So it is also putting in higher lows and higher highs after that big boy drop right at the bell. And this level was of interest to me because we were waxing poetic about how this looked like a double bottom at that 192, 193, 192, high 192s, 193 area. And it doesn't really seem like it's doing that kind of pattern. What it does seem to be doing is putting in higher lows and higher highs. So kind of maybe, you know, a less aggressive upward channel. So if we connect these two, obviously, these 2 points, it's looking like it, you know, may continue. I'm looking at VWAP. We have a 4-candle red pattern right now on the 5 in and around that 194 area. If that 194 area wants to act as a level of support, I'll get long here on AMZN for a possible 194.40 top break, and maybe even higher. Who knows? The pre-market top there in and around 195.25. Obviously, the day high was the implied balance high spike right at 195.61. So probably behooves me to load up Amazon to keep an eye out on that one. We could scalp some money off that. Also, separately, Microsoft, we talked about this 5-candle hold-up pattern at the 50 exponential moving average at the 5. And look what we're doing again. Look at this, moving up back into that 50 exponential now. A couple of red candles over here. So MSFT seems to be jiving with that 50 exponential on the 5. And why? I don't care. That's not the level we're usually using with these Mag 7 names intraday. So keeping my eye on that one.
Thanks.
What else is going on? I'm not, yeah.
You running out of steam after all those good trades, Sharif?
Yeah,
Is
something like
is that.
that.
What's going on?
CVRX as well. Keeping my eye on that one is taking above $14. What are you looking at, Andy?
They say mo money, mo problems. That's the song that goes out there. As far as what I'm looking at, I'm really just deciding if I want to trade anything. A lot of times during lunch hour, people do come in here and they say, I got to take this setup now. I got to take this setup now. And what they don't realize is, guys, you have to understand timing is everything in the market. Whether the market's at your price level or not, you have to ask yourself, well, if it's 12 or if it's 1, is it worth waiting 2 hours for that power hour to get that volume rush and to get the confirmation of if that move is actually going to do it today? A lot of the times I'll actually long into the morning session or the evening session, but my trades throughout the day are pretty sparse. And the reasoning for that is I like to swing. Majority of my profits have been made as a swing trader. But things like KO, like this thing, I'm willing to hold into that power hour. And if power hour comes around and KO is still chopping, maybe it starts to flush even, that is confirmation to get out of the trade or add to it. I always add into strength, and I never add into losers. So that's how I kind of leverage my winners and things like that. But KO, definitely one trade. If we look at this one real quick, KO has a lot of momentum. And the idea behind this is, well, if we have momentum past Euro close, which is really what we longed into, then if we target 67, what are we looking for to the upside? Well, we're going to be looking for specifically a time to buy or add to this trade. It's not going to be now. It's not going to 67 now. That's almost guaranteed. So when can we add to this trade or cut it? It's going to be into power hour. We'll see a volume rush or not, and that's when I'm going to make a decision.
Sounds good, man. A new small cap gapper has emerged on the scene here. MAXN, big mover. Be careful with this one. I don't have a news headline on it yet. I'm looking here. Why? Okay, here it is. So this is from the 29th. So that's obviously not today. This came in yesterday. Why Maxon Solar Technology stock is exploding higher? Not really. Well, you can kind of screenshot this and have a look at it if you'd like. This is what it's doing right now. It's just topping tailed into 940, trading at 886, having trouble with 9. We can let this one calm down and possibly try to get it off 9 if it wants to use 9 as support. It's getting extended, though. You've often heard me say I use the 10 exponential moving average on the 5 as an informal gauge of overbought and oversold conditions, specifically for these small cap gappers. And boy, oh boy, are we extended there. 790 area is essentially the where the 10 exponential is, and 940 is where we topped out at. So if it wants to come back down, maybe test VWAP at around 8 if it wants to come down into 790 at the 10 exponential, but it's going to have to settle down. That's a big move to the high side there with the volume coming in right at 12. This one was not doing volume earlier. It was very sparsely traded. Now it's a bit stronger. We've got a dare at the big desk, though.
We're to say thank you here to our sponsors at Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience has taken a bold step in advancing brain health technology. In collaboration with Brightminds Biosciences, Firefly's innovative AI-powered platform has successfully analyzed data from a groundbreaking phase 1 clinical trial using advanced EEG technology to track brain activity. This data unlocks new potential in treating neurological and mental disorders, reinforcing Firefly's position at the forefront of brain health innovation. As they prepare for phase 2, this partnership signals exciting developments for the future of neuropsychiatric treatments. Firefly Neuroscience, shaping the future of brain health.
Thank you very much, Adara. Shout out to our sponsors at Firefly. Yes, sir. What are you looking at, Andrew? What do you got over there?
Right now, I'm actually looking at long softwares. I've had a long software thesis for a while now. Again, this has been the favorite of the rotations. And again, we talk about, this is the same thing with Boeing. Not only is it a timing trade, but also a when do we kind of manage this. So right here, technically, we had a point of max pain here off of this massive pump earlier in the month. And what I'm looking at here is a continuation. So I longed this today, yesterday into close. I added today into my position. So really what I'm looking at, again, about timing, if you want to hop into this one late or something like that, what I'm going to be looking for is that power hour rush. So about an hour or 2 hours before the close, you're going to start seeing this pick up. So for now, I'm just expecting everything to chop market wide, and then we might see some movers at 2 o'clock.
Fantastic. Look, man, I'm still watching MAXN here. I'm looking to see if it wants to base at this, brief consolidation area that we put in on the 1 minute chart. It looks like it might be finding a bit of a bid. I don't need to be first. I think this has got potential to move to the upside. So I'd like to see a couple of candle hold up. Now, obviously, the bad part about that strategy is you don't get the best price, and it also sometimes moves away from that support level. So you've got less of a buffer between your hard stop, right? So if you're basing your stop off area lows or area troughs, as the price gets away from it, obviously you have to account for a bigger stop loss there. So sometimes it's good to wait, sometimes not so much. Now, what I don't like about this is the current spread on it. So we're going to give this one the old college try, and we'll give this one possibly into around 8 1/3. Look to wet our beak. Possibly at 88s over here. We're going to set up some resting orders to see if we can get them filled if this one does ascend. So we're looking for 88s and then mid 9s. Does look like it is putting a bit of a hammer candle right now, but it's by no means close. So we're definitely not out of the woods there. So we're going to put in our stop just to account for obviously that area of volatility. So I'm going to put it there, and then we're going to give it a little bit of room. You got to give this bad boy a room. Otherwise, it's going to get, your stop. Again, I talked to you guys about this. If you're going to trade with limit orders as stops, then account for the spread and the volatility of the small cap gapper. So what does that mean? Your triggering price and your limit price has to have a healthy spread in between them. Otherwise, your stop will get blown through. Another strategy, obviously, is to try to use market orders, but that's kind of the Wild West. So have at it if you want. CVRX is going, guys. This is another small cap gapper that I'm keeping eyes on today. It is not the biggest percentage mover on the day, nor is it the biggest volume mover, but very respectful of this trend, very respectful of the 10 exponential. But as I look at it, it looks like it is a bit spready. 14 1/4 HOD is trading at 14 right now, so we'll keep our eye out on this one. I'm continuing to wait here on MAXN to either get stopped out or to print here above 9, this candle of this kind of, it looks like this engulfed, where like the current candle on the 5 minute is engulfed by the previous candle. So I'm trying to base my stop on the low of the previous candle, and then obviously trying to wet my beak into that $9 area. Let's see what everybody else is talking about in the chat. Professor Chaos, where does Google rebound?
Oh man, Google. Did you say you're a bird? You wet your beak? Are you a bird, Sharif?
Click it up there. You should have a beak wetter right in and around that area.
Where's my beak wetter? Oh, wet beak. Bang.
Hey.
Beak wetter. All right. I'm getting used to this. Okay. Wait, we got to hit the bang.
There you go. I know, that's the best one, dude. That is the best one.
Yeah,
and the money spin, too.
Yeah, money. Okay. But yeah, that's cool. Google, it's really interesting, guys. So a lot of people, they love talking about these big movers, but you have to really ask yourself, before you get into trade, do I have edge? Is there a setup I see that I've statistically traded before with high win rate? And And a lot of you guys like to get into names because you see others. You'd be surprised how many people are peer pressured into trades just because they're seeing, people on the desk here or someone else. You really have to assess, do I have edge in this trade? That's ultimately what matters. But one thing I do want to talk about as well, if you want to quickly share my screen. So this is what we call a seasonal calendar, and I make this, by the way. But this seasonal calendar shows you the statistical probabilities a day closes green for the month. So today was actually one of the highest percentage days of consistently turning green on the day. So that was actually the buy the dip thesis in the morning, but we expect definitely a green close today. How much? We don't know. It could be a new all-time high. Who knows? But today and tomorrow definitely going to go into more of a green avenue. But again, everything is about timing with Google especially. It's selling off. It's up a huge amount. But is there really edge in this? Is there a better play for you? That's what you have to find out. And personally, me speaking, with the markets overall right now, we are still trapped in this range. We've been trapped in this range nearly all October, it seems like, but it's really been over 10, almost a month nearly just in this range. So we're going to be watching this to the breakout. Any gap up, we do expect a big gap up of some sort this week. Maybe retail sales does it, but I'm definitely going to be watching some things to go up to the expected range of around 589 this week. So.
That's a good look, man, especially with all the volatility that we're going to be getting into next week. We're already getting it. I mean, it's been an October, and let me tell you, I did not predict that. I thought we would get that, regular case of seasonality, like we get that regular case of the sniffles around this time. Quite frankly, because we've been selling off. I mean, look back to 4 years, since I started trading. I've been trading since 2020, and every October has been insanely volatile. And I mean,
amen.
Right? Exactly.
Amen.
The quant telling you right there that we have. Oh boy, here we go. All right, let's take some off here. We're printing up real nice here on MAXN. Let's take off a couple of shares. Bang! Let's do it again over here. What's going on? How come I'm not able to take off shares? There we go. There we go. Now we're doing real well. 876. Now we're printing a quarter. We're about 50 pennies in the money or so. It's zigging and zagging, though. You never know with these ones. So set up and layer your beak wetters. Looks like I'm still holding a decent position here. So looking weasel out of some of this. Let's take out some of that. Now we're holding a decent position. Let's let this bad boy run up. I'd like to see what this one wants to do over here. We already took off a little. So I'm going to let this one cook to see if it wants to take out that 940 HOD. Yeah, that is the high. That's the topping tail candle that, well, it's not really a topping tail, but we put that high right at 940, zigging and zagging with 9. This is what I wanted to see, us print a new high above the previous 5-minute candle. In fact, we also have a newer low. So you're maintaining that trend. It's normal for this kind of movement to experience a momentary pullback, and that's all that it was, a momentary pullback. Right now, we're moving into those highs. We're at 9 1/3 right now, so we're gonna wet our beak here at 9 1/3. Bang! Let's go up a little bit more, baby. We're working for a little bit more. Can we get $1 on this? Well, we're still about 40 pennies away from that dollar, so we're gonna have to pack our patience over here. MAXN just glanced at that HOD at 940, and then it looked away because it didn't break that level. So can you keep my eye on this one? Looking for that dollar winner. If we can eke up something maybe in the 60s or something like that, that would be great. Let's actually do a little bit of a wider time frame charting over here. See where we should expect said resistance.
Resistance?
You're in Canada now, baby. Right? So it's
the French side is really coming out.
There you go. Okay. There you go. They drilled that in a fourth grade. There you go. There you go. Yes, you're already getting your Canadian on, Raider. I love it.
All right.
So yeah, we got a lot of chop and churn here from late September in and around that $10 area, give or take. So the closing prints all around 975, but look at the wicks. They weasel up into 10.5. So if we get in and around 10, you can rest assured I'm going to be ringing the profit bell there, because I don't want any of that resistance smoke in and around that $10 area. So MAXN, there it is. New high a day. Let's go, Maxim, baby. We're going to sit here at 69s, because what's life without dang whimsy? Let's put it up over here at set 69. That's where we're going to wait. We don't get the fill, Raider. But I like the whimsical stuff like that.
Neil said I speak more French than him. I haven't spoken a word of French. So, Neil, literally one word of French, you would have already beaten me.
Neil, were you in the same boat as myself, grade 4 to grade 9, mandatory French?
I'm gonna cop to something here.
Go.
We speak truth around here at Trader TV Live. So I got great grades. We had to take French. We were forced to take French here in Canada, and I got very good grades. But I also sat next to a dude who did French immersion when I was in high school.
Oh.
And I'm just going to leave it at that. And I just want to shout him out, Dave, you're my brother for life. That's what it's all about here. My daughter is in French immersion, however, because she's going to do it right and actually learn the language. So, Andrew, you probably do speak more than me. I can read a little bit, but... I know. Here we go. Petetra. I can read a little bit. That means like a little bit. Boom. Boom. That was right? That Petetra, that's a little bit?
Raiders really strong.
No? I think it is. I don't know. I have no idea.
Raiders got muscle. Let me just tell you that. Like, he just basically popped Neil's head
Sharif
right
probably,
there,
like,
bro.
Every time Sharif goes up a staircase, he's doing, like, 8 times my leg days because he's, like, massive muscle ball going around.
Bro, honestly, leg day is the best day. Helps regulate hormone levels in men. I think that's super important. Test is obviously...
Test.
Yes, sir. Test.
Putting the test to the test.
Oh, Darren would be very proud of that. There you go. You're getting clapped.
I will say one thing as well, okay?
Yes, sir.
For all the OGs in chat, okay? I explained this to the media crew.
Go.
I told them that the reason I look so white when I ever come on my segment is because I never turn the ISO down on my camera. Now, do I look like a ghost? I don't think I do, but maybe there's an opinion. Maybe I'll just be a ghost for Halloween. Who knows?
You're good, bro, man. That's all in your mind, man. What are you talking about? You're good to go, Raider. All right.
Never skips legs day. All right.
No, man, you can't. I bang out leg day like 3 times a week. Can't skip leg day. Boom! 69 just got taken out. There, now we're $1 in the money, baby. Let's keep going up here. Well, we were $1 in the money. You spoke too soon. Now I'm going to sit at, I don't know, 89s. What's life without whimsy? I want to take it out before 10. We know resistance comes in 10. How? We charted. We looked at that mid to late September level, and there was big boy resistance over multiple days in and around that 10. If you want to take it north of 10, have at it. I'm going to take it out here. Here we go, showing high 70s. I'm waiting at 89s just to front run that $10 level. We're up 55%. The volume's coming in fast and furious right now. Each candle's loaded with about 750,000 shares per candle. So we're getting ample liquidity and able to get in and get out. So I like this one. And you know why I like it even more? Because it's not a pre-market small cap gapper. It is a midday small cap gapper. That means the meat of the move comes during the midday, not in the beginning. And then we gotta, take the leftovers and, take the scraps and whatever else other analogy you want to use. So anyway, got the print at 69, still waiting for that print in the high 80s. Here we go again, 80s showing up. Can I get the 89s? I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to take it out here. Bang, we're going to end that trade.
I'll give you one there. Bang.
Appreciate you, man.
Give me bang.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. What are you looking at over there, bro?
So honestly, not too much. What I'm looking at, if you want to share my screen quick, this right here is what we call a defensive these are the rotations. So what I want to be clear about, I showed this earlier and I said we expect a slow grind up in SPY, things like that. You really want to look at the markets because the markets are like a machine. And however they work is where you can expect the direction to go. Now that sounds completely vague, but here's what I would go with this, is that whenever there's money flowing into defensives or out of growth, or into growth and out of defensives, they're always rotating. Firms don't take profit like you think they do. They're not sitting here like Sharif over here, smacking out shares and taking profit. Firms reallocate, guys.
Absolutely.
And that's a very important word. Reallocate means shift from one thing to the other. And so they're not necessarily taking money out of the market. What's happening is they're rotating it between sectors. And it's not necessarily a person behind a desk like us doing it. It's most of the time algo driven. And so when you have certain performance metrics, things like that. So whenever I look for something, I want to see what they're rotating into. What are they improving? What is going into the markets relative to a benchmark being the overall markets? And what's being worse than the overall markets? And right now you see big rotations out of energy, financials, banks. Well, these are starting to slow down a little bit in their pursuit. But if you look at the 10-minute here, what you're noticing is they're kind of piling some money into XLP, XLU. These are defensive names, even value, XLI. And so if we go and look at XLI right now, this is one that I've been watching this morning. Value, of course, XLI being industrial. these value names, specifically CAT, this one was a big gap filler. It hit the gap, it's starting to slow down, and this is going to be another name that if into the close around 2 p.m. to 4, we're going to be watching this one to continuation, right? This was a leader of today off the low, maybe not percentage-wise from the previous day close, but this is off the open, one of the leaders in the market. And so what we're going to look for is, well, if we slow down into that last 2 hours of the market, then there's going to be a volume rush, and that's going to be likely where those leaders get a continuation or not. It's either we're right or we're wrong, but we want to be in the ones that are going to be the biggest movers. A lot of you guys, you pick names, you're looking at things like, I don't know, some random name like HLT, and you might be up a few percentage points on this, but is it really paying compared to what you could be doing? What other stocks are moving more? Where's that opportunity shifting? Where's the money rotating? Where are firms reallocating? That's what you're going to find.
Man, I love the charts that you have there. Can you go back? Not the charts.
The ROGs.
That's fantastic stuff, dude. You're one of the only people that I've seen that actually uses this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so this is, if you guys are big ballers, you can do it on Bloomberg as well. Optima, but also Stock Charts is what I recommend. It's the cheapest one. I have a few videos over that explaining how to use it, but I'm good friends with the guy who made this, Julius DeKemper. He's a really cool guy. But he founded this tool, this kind of calculation, and this right here is how I kind of utilize rotations in the market and find relative strength. Again, relative strength is so important. It's how I found that KO trade versus Pepsi. You know, you go, Raider, do you drink Coca-Cola? Is that why you actually longed Coca-Cola? No. Okay, juice and water for me. But as far as Pepsi versus KO, KO had relative strength. Look at this. Pepsi all the way at the low. You're sitting at this some say double bottom, blah, blah, blah. But this is extremely weak. A lot of momentum. Even if you get a pop to the high, it's going to be suppressed and sold off. So what I looked at was, okay, if we're going to long staples, which one has more relative strength? Well, KO is the one at the low. It's completely free range, and it's starting to rally off the low. That's a pretty good range for me. Speaking that we haven't really had any previous levels to weigh down or anything, I'm long this one. So KO off the low, that's what I'm doing.
All right, Adara, what do you got for us with the green screen?
I have our midday small cap segment. We're going to talk about some tickers here. If you're looking at these or any other tickers, get into that chat and vote. Exclamation point, join, space, $, and whatever ticker you're looking at. So right now we're going to take a look at the IWM, which is basically been in a bit of a downtrend since we last viewed it around 10:20 this morning. Still up about 0.5%, and right now waffling around here at that 222.75 area, which was resistance if you go back to Monday on this 15-minute chart. So let's see if we're able to hold up or if we push a little bit below. We're already $1 removed from those highs. Let's talk here about this is not the chart, but we do have ENSC. It's N Science. It's up about 50% today. No catalyst, but we have about a $9 million market cap for ENSC, which is a penny stock. What about Vast Renewables, VSTE? This one is up about 87%, signing a development agreement with GGS Energy. It also has a pretty small float, 2 million shares. Now, last but not least, Maxian Solar, MAXN. Shout out to Sharif, who's been looking at this ticker. Yesterday, they appointed a new CFO, Dimitri Hu. They also have now replaced, there's this new interim CFO appointed as a deputy CFO. So some CFO switch-ups for Maxian yesterday, giving it this day 2 move to the upside. They also have about a 6.5% short float. Again, if these are any other tickers are on your watch, ENSC, IWM, or MAXN, or VSTE, anything else, just get in that chat and vote, exclamation point, join, space, $, and your ticker of choice. You have about 1 hour and 20 minutes left to do so, guys.
Thank you. Adara was just like stepping all over me there, bro. Come on, Ram. There goes Neil. And she started stomping, too, like when she came over here to really drive home her point. Shout out to Adara. You hear about that guy they hired there?
No.
Henry who?
Henry who?
Who?
Who is that?
Come on, bro.
I don't know who that is. Sorry, I didn't even hear what the news was.
Yeah, this stock that I'm trading right now, they appointed a new CEO, so that's why I guess it's moving big boy.
MAXN?
MAXN, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Guys, I want to cover this one real quick here because true to form, Ram, we need a paper-handed animation or something. I know the Chilean Nightmare takes care of that kind of stuff, but yeah. I know he's very busy. I know. I'm more sympathetic. He's giving me the dirty look. He's like, bro, I'm eating, and I don't want to hear about any of your requests. I'm just joking. He's blowing me kisses. Shout out to the Chilean Nightmare, man. Shout out to Andre as well. How you doing back there, brother? Everything's good? This is Andre, guys. Can we get him in the shot? No? Okay, no problem. All right, so guys, MAXN, it blew through 10. It blew through 10. It blew through 11. 11:20, I believe, 11:19, excuse me, high of day. Big boy drop right now. It's got the mother of all. Ugly, ugly topping tail candles. But like I've kind of told you guys in the past, this candle here that we're looking at is not the end all and be all. There he is. There's the OG. He has no idea what we're talking about. I'm like it. You know, in case you guys are wondering who Andre is, I know a lot of people they like to know who everybody on the crew is. So you guys know Ram and the Chilean Nightmare, production crew extraordinaire. They're usually up, you know, either doing the live or they're doing the edits and stuff like that. Now we have somebody to help them out. It's a third member of the production team. His name is Andre. We haven't really involved him in the show as much as Ram and Chilean Nightmare is, but trust me, he's behind me. He's going to get involved. There is the best production crew. Hey, the world's best production crew. Well, excluding Ram, but fine.
Don't leave her out like that.
She's going to kill me. I'm going to... She's giving me gestures at the moment. Ram, we love you, bro. You know that. Anyway, so I want to say, Ram, this candle here is not the end-all and be-all. We're still well above the volume-weighted average price. We're well above the 10, the 20. You guys get it. So even though it's an ugly, ugly candle, I would submit to you, it doesn't mean the same thing on a small-cap gapper that's trading at highs as it would perhaps a Meta, an Apple, where that, you know, would manifest at a critical resistance level, a critical support level if it was the opposite. So what I'm trying to say is MAXN may not be done. VWAP is at 9 1/3, a little bit higher than 9 1/3, and then you've got the 10 exponential right at that whole dollar level, right? I love the 10 exponential dips, especially on these small cap gappers, and even better if it's shadowing 9. So I'm all eyes, ears, and everything else. With this one, if it wants to get on the back end and show me some green candles to make newer highs, I'm all eyes, and I will gladly trade it again. So MAXN, finally, we've got a decent small cap gapper here moving on watch, so want to keep that on watch as well. By the way, Snapchat, volume weighted average price. So this is the first time we've touched VWAP on Snapchat since 9:40 this morning. And I would submit to you as a quick glance at that 9:40 because we didn't spend a whole lot of time down there. So this is an interesting opportunity right now on this name. Snapchat, volume weighted average price, 12 1/4, 12 1/3. Let's see if it continues to weasel down, or does it find its footing at this level? From what I see, it's finding its footing. So, you know, this is one doji candle that's putting in right now. Let's not put too much weight into that, but I like what I see so far. Last but not least, before we see what Satea's got going on over there, Neil let me know about this one in the chat. Donald John Trump is Donald John Dump today, bro. Ooh. Shout out to Adara. We opened up 51.50 on the day. We just put in lows at 38.96. Now, guys, it's been a monster move up. This is the hourly here on Donald John Trump, whatever. You guys get it. So, what's the situation? Let's do some fibs here. Fibonacci's. I know. Let's do some fibs. Let's grab from the low, that September 24th low. Let's drag to the top, that 57 and change, 57.5. All right, where are we at? Right now, we are at a 2/3 retracement with that 50% acting as at around 35. So we've already taking out 76.4. That 61.8 is literally where we are right now. So that 2/3 of a retracement, a little bit less obviously than 2/3. We're talking about 61.8, not 66. And then we got 35 at that 50%. I'm going to leave these up there because this was a monster move for Donald John Pump. And obviously we got to give back a little bit over here. So keeping my eye on that. Thank you, Neil, for pointing that out. It's been bleeding. It's been uninterrupted to the downside. Let's see if it finds its footing at 61.8, Satea. But yeah, I'm going to steer clear of this one at the moment. What do you do?
No, for sure. Yeah, so looking back at SMCI, so I was talking with a little bit of, I think it was Samud or Mahmoud. Sorry if I butchered that, but we were going back and forth in the chat a little bit. And I was waiting for this break before Andrew came on. and I was waiting for this break here around 33.77, and I got that break as well. And he was just like, why, did you just scalp it out rather than holding it for the longer duration of the move? And so I'm just more of a scalper, more so. I just like to stick to my plan. I did see that, it would be a longer trend that would play out. And that's why sometimes I'll get out of a trade and I'll say, it's still valid. So don't let me getting out of the trade, affect what your plan is. But that's just how I get in and get out. And I just like to stay very uniform with how I trade, just because once I start holding a little bit too long, then, things just start to get ugly. And so usually I'm just in, I'm out, and I just like to stick with that just so I'm very consistent with my trading. So just wanted to touch on that a little bit. So SMCI, it still looks like we are continuing with the downtrend. It is coming up. It came up to that level that I made. So it's in this range, came up to this 33.77 mark, and then it seems like it's coming down back to the downside as well. But the thing is, there is a little bit of a bounce here around 12.12, and that was around 32.85. And so I want to see a break of this before I get in again, just because, there could be a little bit of a bounce. It's just me personally. I just like to see more confirmation for that. This was resistance, so I do like that. But just for me personally, I do want to see it break 32.90 and get in for the continuation of the short there. So someone's saying, come on, SPY, you have some more downside in ya. Let's look at that. Let's see.
You tell I have problems I need to yell at.
No, yell at those charts, man. Maybe they'll listen. But let's see here. It is going down here. It looks like it may go to VWAP here around 581.85. Definitely think that is in play. Let's look on the 15-minute here. Yeah, so we have lots of red candles here. 1, 2, 3, 4 15-minute candles. So that is really good in terms of identifying, this downtrend here. But again, you don't want to get caught up here because there was a bounce at VWAP around 581.62. That was around 11.15. And so, yeah, we just want to see what it does there for me personally. If we break below there, then, maybe we might see more downside, but we just want to make sure that, you can get in early. I definitely don't think that that's a bad play here, but this level, 581.81 VWAP, is a level that you really want to see whether there's a bounce there, because you don't want to be holding it against you if it does bounce from that place. But, just be aware of that. And then someone's saying, Mara in the chat. Mara.
Yo, Donald John Trump is Donald John Pump right now.
Pumping?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Right off that 2/3 retracement like we yapped about. Sorry, I just wanted to tell everybody.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Shout out to that, DJT, pumping. But going to MARA, this looks really good as well. What I like with this trade is we are approaching the pre-market high. So that is around 19.07. As of right now, we're at around $19. We had this bounce around 18.69. Really like the fact that we had this. There's a bounce here, 11.25, bounce here, 11.40, bounce here, 12.10, bounce here, 12.30. And so there seems to be lots of resistance here at this level. And so I really like this for the continuation of the long. And so usually I like the the day's high or the pre-market high, but this curl, this bounce, I really like that, and I would even consider getting in at this $18.97, $19 mark. I would say just for a little bit more confirmation, just because we want to make sure that it does blast off that level, maybe 1901s, 1902s. If it could break that level, then I think that the continuation of the long is still in play. So that looks really great. And then what else do we got here? NVIDIA, I punched out of that before Andrew popped in, retraced a little bit back to 139.40, and then I feel like the continuation of the long is still in play here. Still above VWAP, really like that. Gonna look on the 15-minute here. Yeah, I like this bounce on the 15-minute at 12.30. Really nice, strong bounce here. I want to see that that next candle is going to be opening soon, about 20 seconds here. We're going to get that next 15-minute candle. And if we can hold you know, above 139.80. Making sure that we don't close above 139.37. This still looks like a really good play for the long. So still in play, and Vinny is still moving. I don't think it's too late. It's still looking good, still looking hot.
Look at the comment in the chat. Whoever has been, I don't mean to laugh. I hope nobody's bag holding this, but it's funny. Whoever has been long SMCI is drinking heavily this morning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't mean,
Just cut it, man. Just cut it. Like, at this point, I mean, it's looking bad as of right now. Like, I thought there would be a little bit of a bounce going back to SMCI, but the continuation of the short, it's still in play. And so that looks really good there. And then a risk level that I'm looking at is around 33.87 if you are a day trader. So that looks really good as well for SMCI for the short. And then did I mention Mara? Yeah, I think I did mention Mara. And then let's go over to Tesla, because what is that doing here? Ooh, Tesla, what are you doing here? It is bouncing off that 260.47. And so, you know, it did look like a short. I really thought that it would get to VWAP, but, and it did. And so we're bouncing off of that level. That looks really nice as well. If we go on the 15-minute here, I like the fact that, you know, we have that resistance at VWAP. And I want to see a break of at least 262.10s, but I wouldn't even be mad at you guys if you try to get in now, because that 9 EMA is really starting to curl, and as long as it could trail that, I still think that this is still a good play for Tesla. Bus stop level that I'm looking at is day's high. That is around 263.35, 263.30. Let's just make it easy for you guys. And that's what I'm looking at in terms of Tesla. How about you?
Donald John Trump is going here, guys. All right, we're nicely off the bottom. We bottomed out at 39.10 or so. Now we're about to break 42.5. And the tape is really moving and the volume is really moving. We just took 40 pennies on it quick as you like, and that turned out to be the worst dang trade. Look at this thing go, bro. It's already $1, way above $1 than where we got in. Here it comes. There is possible resistance at 43 to account for this area trough, in the same way that there could be possible resistance, at least locally, here at 44 to account again for another trough. It was a bleeding fest, a blood fest to the downside. Here comes 43. Can we break it? Not yet. Decent size, about 200 lots. There goes 43. We're really squeezing here on Donald John Pump. Still negative 16.5%. on the day, but this is a nice move up. Maybe SSR bounce, who knows? Obviously, it is SSR having lost over 10% on the day, so we'll continue to watch and see. Can we get in at predictable levels? Happy with this trade, but also not happy with the trade. Kind of the always the issue with the trader, always dissatisfied some way, somehow. Never enough shares, never the top, never the bottom, blah, blah, blah. You guys have heard me complain about that before. Now, I'm in another trade as well, doing well on this one as well. Snapchat, volume-weighted average price. You hear Satya talking about that consistently, and more agreeable I could not be on that analysis there. So look, we're in at 1230 here for that drop into volume weighted average price. Took a quick beak wetter, have another one set up. Snap though, it's not really, you know, your parabolic mover. I'm just trying to put the odds on my side here that we get a bit of a bounce. Look, it was a good report, but you just don't know how many people are bag holding this at higher levels that may want to get the hell out of Dodge now that it's found a day that we're pumped up a couple of bucks. So I'm in right now, Snap, that 1230, $0.25 I'm out. It's going to have to hold above $0.25, because if it breaches $0.25, well then by extension of that, it's breach VWAP, and I don't want any smoke. So that's a look there. Donald John Trump still zigging and zagging with 43. Not surprised about that because of the interaction we had with this level earlier. Usually that means there's a bit of chip and chop until we take it decisively. You're going to ask me what decisively means. You just got to get away from it and not really look back. But I'm still looking at 44 as well. You're not going to catch me trying to short this. It's just awfully volatile right now. I want to go with the trend, and the trend that I can see at the moment is to the high side. Nice hold up here, generally at 40. You could see the buyers were stepping in south of 40. I would submit to you the buyers are stepping in mostly at 39.5, maybe even 39 3/4, 2/3. You guys get it. We're going to keep an eye out on DJT. But for now, we have a dare at the big desk.
Boeing taking flight a little bit here. BA making new day's highs up more than 2.5%. I'm not seeing any new catalysts on this, but it's worth noting. I pulled this chart up because I saw this headline here. Airbus apparently maintaining its 2024 delivery target. So that Airbus could potentially be a sympathy move here or get some people looking at BA. It's worth noting we actually had a downgrade this morning from Bernstein here with the $169 price target. But BA pushing higher all day, bouncing beautifully off that 155. So let's see if Boeing can stay in the air here, up 2.5%, guys.
I like that pun there now, Dara. Boeing taking flight. I don't think I didn't catch that one. The pun queen, Adara Punera, dropping the puns. Yeah, bro. Satya, I believe you're muted. There we go. Satya's coughing up a storm, right? And she's trying to save your ears.
Yes.
That's why.
I know. I'm so sorry about that, guys. That's why I keep going in and out. But I am back. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about NVIDIA. So I was trying to get in at that NVIDIA around 08s. I didn't get the fill quick enough, and so it's blasting off without me. And so this still looks like a great play. Just because it's, I couldn't catch it doesn't mean you can't as well. And so I like the fact that it's breaking above this high again, and that looks really good as well. Bus stop level around 140.55, but I still think it can get higher than that. So that is looking really good for NVIDIA. And then I saw a little bit of action happening on AMD on my side chart. And so this was really interesting. So I was looking at this level, and I drew this line earlier on the show. And so I said I wanted to see a bounce at this level or a breakthrough at that level. And we're looking like we are getting that bounce here as of right now. Still don't necessarily want to get involved yet until I see the break of at least 151.64 or even 152. But I think once we start crossing VWAP and I start to see some stronger candles there, I might be more convicted in this trade. I mean, this still looks like a great long. Entering here, I wouldn't get mad at you guys for doing that either. But just for me personally, I want some more confirmation here, because what I don't want to see is we're still in this downtrend, right? And so what I don't want to see is it just gets up here and then it just bangs down from there, fakes everybody out, hits that, does a liquidity grab and then bangs down again. And so we want to see at least 2 to 3, 5-minute candles closing above the VWAP price. And so that's what I'm looking at in terms of AMD. AMD. And then what else do you guys have in the chat? Let's see. Let's do a little scroll. Boeing. Let's see here. Boeing, it's retracing a little bit to that 9 EMA. This trend still looks strong to the upside. What is really distinct to me is it's kind of near this yesterday's high. And so that is around 155.92. And so it is retracing a little bit, but I wouldn't get scared. I would say that this is just a little bit of a pullback, and it's at a key level here. A little bit of a pullback, continuation up for Boeing. I don't think that is out of reach at all. So that's what I'm looking at. How about you, Sharif? Good.
Thank you, Satya. We're long on Snap here. We're doing real well. So I got it at 30s. We just wet our beak at 44s. I've got the next order out here at 49s. We wicked up into 48s. Snapchat. I've disparaged this company a bunch of times, and I still think I'm justified a little bit. But you look, I mean, they're turning things around there. And if they can shore up costs and increase advertising revenue, then I'm going to have to eat my words. Simple as that. Just like I ate my words today with Google. And I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong, man. I don't have an ego that way. I really don't. Like when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. As simple as that.
I mean, you have to be. As a trader, I find like you really need to be honest with yourself. You're not always going to be right every single time. And I find if you're a person like in your personal life, if you struggle with that, like you really need to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can't be stubborn with a stock.
100%.
And because you're not a market mover, you're a market observer.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're not going to be moving these markets. So you're going to have to go with how it's moving. And if you don't like how it's moving and you keep trying to, punch in there, you're gonna be in some trouble. So anyway, we'll stop yapping about that. Look, I tried to get the print at 49. It did work up into 49 ram, but it wasn't able to cross. As a result, we've often talked about that. The crossing operative here, it's got to cross for me to get filled. So packing my patience for that fourth out on SNAP. And again, in it because of the VWAP hold, just that simple. But obviously, we're probably going to have trouble with the $0.50. And we saw that already. Area rejection over here, area rejection. We zigged and zagged with the half dollar. Back up into 48 we go. I'm still waiting at 49s. Where are those buyers at? There is some size of note, about 200 lots or so at 49s, but you know, we're not going to really, I'm not going to concern myself with that because the buyers are at least stepping in for now. Now, I saw you guys in the chat talking about Donald John. Now again, dump. DJT made a nice little move there and breached the 20, breached the 10, worked up into 43.5. Not quite, though, into that area trough that we had at 10.05. Look at that low that we put in at $44, thereabouts. This one doesn't work right up there. It only goes up to 43.25. So it's not like I was playing area support flip to resistance on this one, so I didn't have eyes on this one. Now that 3 5-minute candles here, red on Donald John dump as it comes back down, looking to take down 41 again. We'll see if this one can make a newer low. Where's that newer low, you ask? It's got to breach 39. So we obviously had a 4-candle hold up in and around that $39 area, technically 38.96 HOD or LOD, excuse me. But if we don't make that newer low, in fact, if we work back up and take out that 43.25, oh boy, where's he at? He's not here. That's okay. Then at least we get into 44.5 because that's where the volume weighted average price is. Obviously, nothing's etched in stone, and yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye out on that one. Bang on Snapchat, 20 pennies in the money on this name. Let's go, Snap. Let's set up some more beak wetters here, Satea. We're going to put it up at, 55. We'll put it at 55 here to account for this area trough or crest, excuse me. That was the 11 a.m.-ish area rejection before we worked down back into 12 1/3. So I'm happy with the trading today, but you know, it's not over. We can still go red. No question about that. So we're going to have to do, keep an eye on things. I ran out of stuff.
It's okay. No worries. So someone was asking in the chat. They asked me before, but I totally got sidetracked there. They were asking me what time frame that I use to scalp. And so I don't use one time frame. I switch between different time frames. But on average, in the morning, I'll use the 1 minute just because I'm looking at those candles on the morning drive trade. So 9:30, I'll use the 1 minute. And then once 9:35 hits, I'll start to use the 3 minute. Typically, I like the 3 minute just because I find that I can notice the trail on the 9 EMA a little bit more distinctly. I mean, I could look at the 5 minute too, but typically on average, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15, and then I'll switch to the hourly. I don't use the hourly too much. The only time I really use the hourly is when I'm looking for a bounce. And so I'll switch over to the hourly chart here, and I'll say, okay, where was like the last bounce? So on SMCI, for example, we saw that there was a bounce in the pre-market around 30.25. And so I'll look at that. But mainly so, it's more so just to see whether or not there is support or resistance. And I'll look at that on the hourly. But on average, like while I'm in the trade, I'm looking at the 3 minute, the 5 minute, the 15, and kind of switching between those. I don't necessarily keep it on one exactly. I have different charts that you can't see, but on average, again, 3, 5, 15, hour, and those are like the key ones that I use and flip through. But 3 minute on average, we're locked in. I like that 3 minute, and so that's what I stick to. And then someone said, hey, Davis in the chat said, I'm a 5 minute day chart guy. Yeah, I find the 5 minute, it gives me more confirmation without bamboozlement. But because I'm kind of in and like once I execute the trade and like once the position is executed and I'm in the trade, I usually like to look at the 3 minute while I'm in the trade and then 5 minute before I enter the trade. So I think that makes it a little bit easier for me, but that's what I'm looking at in terms of that, and that's how I kind of trail and use my scalping time frames. And then someone's saying DJT PAMP. Let's look at that DJT. Let's see what's going on here. It is pamping to the downside though, not pamping to the upside. That's unfortunate. But we're looking here. What is really interesting to me was Monday, October 28th, this kind of low here. It looks like we're approaching this level, and it looks like we're trying to bounce up a little bit as of right now. I still think it's a downtrend. What I can see with this DJT level is possible retracement up to VWAP. But I'm still looking short on this one. This one is looking, pretty ugly there. We do have this bounce around 39.27. The buyers are really starting to try to step in there, but we're still on a downtrend, so I would still be wary of that. And so what I mean by like switching to different time frames is like, so on the 30-minute, for example, or maybe even the hourly, like we see this bounce here. And so that is what I'm looking at. And so when it does this type of bounce, I don't like to really initiate the short when this big candle, has formed and closed, green. So I'd rather it break below this level in order for me to get in again. A lot of the time I like, the top or the bottom of the hourly candle. So the break of the top around 43.20 or the break of the bottom around 39. I don't like this middle because it could go any old way. And I just want more confirmation because as a day trader, you really need to be strategic. You really need to be on point with your entries and exits. With investments, it's a lot more lax.
So true.
Right?
So true.
Exactly. So it's kind of just like you buy, you forget, you leave it. But with day trading, it's just like you're getting, bigger size. You need to have a definitive stop loss. So you can't hold it as long as you would investing. Because, some with leverage traders, for example, there might be liquidations. There might be margin calls, things like that. And so you want to make sure that you're not hitting those levels. And we're going to Adara.
We're going to do here our crypto segment, and we actually have not one but three crypto-related tickers reporting earnings tonight. So I thought it'd be fun to take a look at these names and their expected moves. We're going to start here with MicroStrategy, MSTR. This company I was seeing as of yesterday or the day before, now apparently here with 379th largest company in the world. So not super high on that list, but certainly MicroStrategy on its way up there, Michael Saylor and crew. They have an implied move of 8.9%. They're expected to report at 4 p.m. Also expected to report at 4 p.m. Riot Platforms, RIOT. Riot here, we're expecting a 9.4% move. Analysts are going to be looking here for revenue of $93 million and a loss of 17 cents per share. And last but not least, we have one of the other bigger names on this list. It's going to be Coinbase. COIN. I just have the 15-minute charts up here so we can get a sense of how they've been moving lately. Coinbase at 4:10 p.m. expected. Analysts are looking for 39 cents per share for earnings in revenue of $1.25 billion with that 9% implied move. So all of those after the bell, you can check that out with Neil and I on the market recap. Now, in terms of crypto, I want to take a look at Shiba Inu because it looked to me like the weakest of the crypto-related names and tokens today. So I pulled up this daily chart. After this nice push up here, bit of a bull flag forming. We've had lower highs, potentially, though, a bit of a rounded bottom forming here for Shiba Inu starting in August 2024. We took off a little bit here in September, made a bit of a secondary bull flag potentially here. Now we've had higher lows. As of right now, holding this area pretty decently here with this cursor. Let's see that we've rejected this level up here, 0.00001913. Couple rejections here. Let's see if we're able to push above that level. The next area of resistance would be this top we made in September, late September 2024. So some brief technical analysis here on Shiba Inu. If these or any other tickers are on watch, vote for them in the chat, !join, space, $, whatever ticker you're looking at that you want Sean and Neil to look at 2 p.m.
Thank you very much for that, Adair. I just want to let you know that the OG Darwin in the chat saying swine and bird flu apparently detected again in Oregon. Swine and bird flu. I did a quick Google while I used the worst of the LLMs, Gemini, over here to find out which companies deal with this kind of stuff. It looks like Boring, Ingelheim, one of them. I said public companies. Merck, I think, also deals with them. Keep your eye out on for these biotech plays. I'm not sure exactly which one to weasel into to possibly get something in on this. I'm looking through my biotechs right now. None of them are really doing anything of note. AbbVie, whoa, AbbVie's looking real good today. 5%. What the hell's going on here? Into that $200 area. Okay. So thanks, Darwin, for that as well. I looked at the Katina Man. We were looking possibly at SIGA, but that's more of the monkeypox, the Mpox, or whatever they're calling it these days. So that's the look there. I want to keep my eye out for anything related with that because that could cause some volatility, and we like intraday volatility. So that's a look. All right. Just before we throw back to Sate, I did wet my beak here just to de-risk a little bit more at 47s on Snap. I still got my last beak wetter set up at 55s. I didn't like the look of the jib of this $half area, quite frankly. You know, sometimes we just find areas of psychological support and resistance at whole dollars, half dollars, even though there's no actual price action resistance there. I think that's a case of it right here. So I said to myself, look, take out a little bit here, and then, you know, if we print it 55s, all the better. Keeping an eye out on that. I also want to let you guys know that MAXN is up again. Now, let me tell you guys, the range per candle is quite prohibitive on this name, given the price. So you have to be ready for a couple of things. One, size in a little bit smaller. Two, you're going to have to account for the wide range per candle in your stop placement. You can't have tight stops if it's showing you over and over and over again on the 5-minute chart that it's going to have a range of $1. And like, look at it. Let's just take a case in point over here. Let's take this green candle. Top 1036, low 920. This is the exception. Look at this bad boy. 1092, 977. So you're going to get that over and over, with the exception being a tighter range. So be careful with this one. Try to get it off a key level. What I saw here was respect generally for the volume weighted average price. Every single closing print on this 3-candle holdup at VWAP closed above VWAP. Obviously, the breaches came. They came pretty aggressively, too. Take this hammer candle right here. Case in point. Look at the closing print. The closing print, 947. But look where it dropped into, 890. So sometimes it's hard to trade these with, you know, that strict area of, what's it called? A strict area for your stop placement. This one's going to be tougher to trade, at least for me. We'll talk more about some of these small cap gappers and the like when we get back from Madeira.
Here to give some more context here and some more knowledge with regards to this story here with the bird flu. USDA apparently set to begin testing here, this bulk milk testing for bird flu. It's, I guess, receiving some pressure here from industry and veterinary groups. There's also, this is apparently part of a new effort to curb this rapid spread amongst dairy herds. So now some measures apparently going to be taken with regards to this bird flu potential outbreak, including bulk milk testing. It's worth noting here is NVAX. This is one of the tickers I was seeing tagged for a potential move on this, Novavax. Down about 2.7%, so not much of a move here. It's worth noting, though, they have a 23.4% short float. Other tickers I saw tagged with regards to this catalyst are Novartis, NVS, GSK, which the ticker is also GSK. There is also Sanofi, SNY. So those are some tickers you could keep an eye on if we get any more information. If I hear anything else, I will let you guys know post-haste.
What I'm talking about there, man. Thank you, Adara, for that, because we were looking for tickers to trade. Thank you. And the chat yelling as well about Mira, MIRA, pharmaceutical, preclinical stage pharmaceutical company, development of 2 neuroscience programs targeting a range of neurological and neuropsychiatric disorders. Okay. Yeah, all right. We'll keep an eye on that. MIRA, it's at highs. $2.27. I'll show you super quick what this bad boy is doing, and then we're going to throw it to Stea for a sec over here. Let me just work my way in. VSTE's coming off. So MIRA, here it is. Look, it's not the biggest and baddest mover, but it's quite directional and quite respectful of trend. I love when stocks trend because then you can put the odds in your favor. Anyway, 227 HOD. It's got a 2-penny spread, as I see. Printing 225 right now. So we'll keep tabs on this name, man. MIRA doesn't have a catalyst right now. Well, other than obviously the possible bird flu and swine flu, but I'm looking at my blotter. I'm not seeing any catalyst right now for it. Last entry was the 28th, and it had nothing to do with that. Mira Pharmaceuticals formulated shows greater efficacy than FDA-approved drug for chemo-induced neuropathic pain. Man, I love seeing headlines like this. I just always hope that they're legit and they're not just cash grabs. So I'm keeping my eye on MIRA. Satea, what do you got over there?
Awesome. So I was still in that SMCI, and so that was printing up a storm. So I took a little bit of profits there. I'm going to put a break-even stop. My entry is at 33.20, so I'm going to put my stop around 33.18, 33.19. I still think that I can capture the rest of the move, and I took some profits out, and so I'm willing to risk, to my entry level for the rest of the move. I'm looking at 32.35 for the rest of my take profit levels, so that is looking pretty decent for SMCI. And why I was interested in this trade was just because it bounced off of this level. I know it's just a line in the sand, but I feel like it was really distinct because we had this range, and then it bounced at the bottom. Well, it was the bottom. Yeah, the bottom of this range, and then it just came down, and then it started to just trail the 9 EMA, and it's still doing that. So I really like the look of that for SMCI. And then I saw someone saying Mara in the chat, and so someone was saying, help, it's going down. And so what I really don't like about the Mara trade was the fact that, it double topped these highs, 1912. That doesn't look too great there. And, but I wouldn't get too worried yet, just because we're not necessarily wrong yet for the continuation of the long. We still want to see a bounce and a hold up at 1870, and we still are above VWAP. So, but these are going to be key levels, 1870 and then again 1860 at VWAP. If we do break below VWAP, I would be a little bit concerned with Mara, and I feel like it would be worth a try to even start looking at, Bitcoin or Ethereum and seeing what is going on there. I like to look at Ethereum just because I feel like I have a better read on Ethereum rather than Bitcoin. They move pretty much in the same way. So if we're looking at Ethereum here, yeah, it is approaching this VWAP level. And so, I want to see a hold of this. And if we could hold it, then, Mara may hold above VWAP as well. But if I see a break below this VWAP level around 2,674, I would be a little bit worried. But just going back to equities, look at that 1870 and then also look at that 1860 and see if there's a bounce and hold up there on the hourly chart. We want to see a wick, and then we want to see a close above VWAP, not below, not below, not below. And so that's what I'm looking at in terms of
Can I show you something?
Yeah.
You probably already know, but flip to the daily on that bad boy. No, Ram, can we put it back? Yeah. No worries. I know you don't know, Ram. I'm just what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Look at that 15. You got to go to the weekly because you really need to be able to see the 15 level, and then look at the 19 level too. As resistance, 19, you got to zoom out, Can we, let's get that price action. Look at that 15 level. Where's 15 at? There it is.
Right here? Okay.
Yeah, 15. Look at that. That's a year's worth of interactions there. And then look at it as a top as well. Flips from resistance to support. So 15 held and it did breach. It got to 1350, but it got back to 15 quick as you like. And now go to the daily and look at the amount of resistance we have at 19. That's why we keep closing below 19. Every single day we're fighting with that $19 level.
Yeah.
Back at in those days. So we're kind of locked within that $5 range. 15 was the level that I really lament not having picked it up on, because that kept back Satya every day. I would keep my eye on this thing.
No, that looks really good. I mean, for the long term, I think that it's still like a trend up. Just on the daily, there is a little bit of a pullback. So, just for the day traders, you might be a little bit worried there. Yeah. But if you're a long-term investor, I would not be worried at all. Just because Ethereum, it is, I've been getting back into crypto more so, and Ethereum, it is blasting to the upside. We do have a little bit of a pullback, but it's still an uptrend. And so I think as long as we could stay above around 2,500 USD in terms of Ethereum, I still think that this is a great long. Someone's saying in the chat, thanks, Satya, that was me asking for help. So cool, Mara and ETH, I'm on it. Yeah, look at that. I mean, yeah, Bitcoin, I feel like it does have distinct levels, 65, 70,000, but I'm just more acquainted with Ethereum, and so they move kind of similarly. So whatever one that you decide, you could look at those for comparisons. So going back to some other tickers I was looking at, I wanted to get filled in Meta. Okay, so not filled yet. Do I still have that order? I have an order sitting here, 597. Oh, I guess it skipped over me. Of course it did. Of course. I wanted to get in around 597.76. And so it skipped over me, and then it's going to the downside. That would have been a really nice trade if I had gotten filled. but this is looking like a short for me. And why? Why do I think Meta is a short? You know, the earnings are coming out later today. Well, we do have those earnings, and I think that, you know, there's some uncertainty, and so some people might be offloading some bags. But why I also don't like it is the fact that at that $600 level, we just banged down, and we're at that psychological level. When I see psychological levels, I want to see a hold of that psychological level, and then that's where my bus stop, you know, levels start to come in. It at a psychological level, then VWAP, and then below VWAP, and then the day's low. So what I'm talking about is, so we got up here at this psychological level, didn't break that psychological level really. It got up to around, what, 650. So that $0.50 mark, failed that, and I'm just like, okay. So then my next bus stop level is VWAP, because typically I find that if it doesn't break through that level, it will at least retrace to VWAP. And then broke through VWAP, and I'm just like, okay, that doesn't look great. And so where's my bus stop level next after VWAP? Well, VWAP level is the level, and then where I'm looking at is this level here around 594.56, and then this lower level here around 592.17. So I'm looking at areas where there was a previous bounce. And so those are where, like, how I use my bus stop level. Sometimes it changes. It could be like an extension outside of the range, but usually it can be a bounce or the day's low. And so that's what I'm looking at in terms of Meta. And wish it got filled there. That sucks. What else am I looking at here? That's all for now. How about you, Sharif?
All right, I just tried DJT super quick at the $0.50 level. It didn't give me what I wanted. The only reason I tried it there, well, it might give it to me now, so sucks to be me. The only reason I tried it there is because we had a lot of resistance at this 40.50 initially. When we did that drop into 39, we kept whiffling and waffling at 40 and a half. So I thought I'd give this one the old college try. It didn't work. We lost about 10 cents on this per share. I can stomach that. That's all right. Down 21% and bleeding now, so I don't feel too bad about this one. So pack our patience to see what else could come up. Still waiting for this level to get taken out here on Snap. It's not. We keep working up to 49s, 48s. Can't go back up into that 50 penny area, so I'm happy I de-risked that 50. The other one I want to tell you guys about, I think I might be late reporting to you on this. I yelled over to the Katina man when this one was doing what we're about to talk about. VWAP hold on the Monster Reddit. Now, that's a term I usually reserve for NVIDIA. But when you triple your market cap in 1 year from the IPO day, you deserve to be called the Monster. Wow, Reddit. Okay, you guys did well. Let me tell you, man, I didn't think it was going to be the year for new IPO social media companies or whatever this wants to pretend it is. Anyway, it's a good look. Fantastic look. Comes down into VWAP there after that 117 on the dot. Rejection comes back into generally 112, you know, mid 111s. And then there you go, right up into that 114 and a third. Let's see, it's putting in a bit of a red candle now. This could be your entry opportunity right here on a momentary pullback. It's too expensive for me to trade on the day. And the liquidity just isn't there like a Mag 7 name. So the spreads are not going to be there. The outs are going to be a little bit harder. You're going to have to fight for them, which means that it's going to have to cross a lot farther on your order for you to get filled because, again, the lack of liquidity on this name. So it's a good look. A VWAP hold, moving back into, that 114 area. Let's see if it can take out 114, but I'm not going to jump into it at the moment. Let's see what else is moving. Mira, guys, it keeps going here. I saw somebody basically in the chat saying they cycled out of Mara into Mira, and that isn't a bad look because I think Mara is coming back down a little bit. Well, Mira, not at all. Mira is on the way up. It's a great look today for this name. Up big boy on the day. Are we doing it now, Ram? All right, let's go. We got bills to pay, so let's get right down to it.
Sure, do it.
Trade the pool. Let's talk about this. Trade the pool allows traders just like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital with no PDT rule holding you back. That's a real edge in trading, guys. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program for stock traders. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power All you need to do is reach the profit goal. The best part? The limited edition program now has a reduced profit target goal and fewer minimum trades required to reach the funded phase. Plus, the profit is upgraded. You keep 70% of the profits. Don't miss the chance to explore this limited time offer. Join now for free. The link is in the description, or if you're more inclined, you can scan the QR code on the bottom right of your screen there. I saw a really interesting advertisement. It's like digital ad sales. You can always track your, who's looking at your stuff, their demographic. You can do a bunch of stuff, obviously, with digital ad sales. It gives you a lot of data. And so people were saying non-digital ad sales, you don't have that personalized information, so you can really kind of target your audience.
Okay.
But apparently this QR code stuff really changing that.
Yes.
Because then you're going to be able to have unique QR codes so you can see, did someone scan it in Toronto or Montreal? And then, based on the user input later, when they scan the QR code, you can get their demographic, you can get their information. Are they a man or a woman, or what age? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But how would they get that information though? From like the data from their phone?
Well, no, you'd have to enter. So if you were like signing up for something, like Trade the Pool right here, you scan, right? It knows you got that, you got it from us, right? Because it's a unique QR code.
Right.
And then you enter your information, then you've got it that way.
Got it.
So kind of tries to make that non-traditional advertising in a more personalized way. I think they're just trying to work around it.
That is really, that's
Ram
really dope.
says people are going to be now worried to scan the QR code now that I'm giving them all this information.
Don't be scared. Do it. Get funded right now. Get funded right now. Let's go.
There you go. There you go. Satea says way better than me. Straight up. All right, guys.
But someone was saying SoFi.
Ram said you'd be a great politician, by the way. I don't know if you want to take that with...
I mean, I think I would. I like to argue, so...
I like it.
I mean...
So does she.
Ram for politics. Let's go. But let's go. Okay, so SoFi. Someone was saying, is SoFi a swing trade? And so let's look on the higher time frames. That will give us more information. And so, okay, I really like this. I really, really like this a lot. So why I like it is I like this. It's kind of curving here. And so it's trailing the 9 EMA. It broke through this level from December of 2023, which was, like last year. And so I definitely think that breaking through a level that was from a year ago is very, very significant. And so I really like the look of that, like the fact that it's trailing the 9 EMA, like the fact that it bounced off of the 9 EMA very strongly. Look at that 1 week chart. It got at around 973, and then we just have this strong wick up. And then we are approaching this level from August of 2023, I lied, July of 2023, July 31st of 2023, and it's approaching those highs. And so this looks great for a swing trade. And why I say that as well is because we had this bottom here around 417, and then we are starting to get lower highs here. And you just notice how the lows are just getting higher and higher, and they're barely breaking. But I feel like that it didn't really start to turn until August 5th of 2024. And then you really start to see those green candles coming in. And so this definitely looks like a right side of the V kind of play where you have this downtrend and then you have a bounce. And so this looks really, really great. I would say for SoFi, you could get loaded up here. This looks like, near a bottom. And so if you are going to get leverage, I feel like this would be a good time to, because we are starting that uptrend. So SoFi looking really great for the swing trade there. And it's cheap. It's 11.37. So I don't think that is a bad look at all. SoFi looking great, looking good. How about you, Sharif?
I'm keeping an eye on Maxen here, MAXN, coming into VWAP, guys. It's breaching VWAP. And it's got a 4-candle, lower low, lower high pattern on the 5. It looks like it's really giving up the ghost here, but we know that this one is awfully volatile. So if it wants to breach VWAP, then curl back above. I'm all eyes and ears. But you're not going to catch me with a resting order on this monster because it is coming down quite aggressively. Here's the 5-minute look right now on MAXN. It was a bit of a volatile name, as we mentioned. And we're definitely having issues taking that 10.5 on a closing basis. 3 different 5-minute candles wick past 1050, only to retrace down again. We're coming into the 20, but you're not going to see me use that level. It hasn't respected the 20 on the day, meaning it hasn't been bouncing off it, curling into it, etc. So just because it shows up on my chart doesn't mean I'm going to use it. It's got to be in use on the day. So here's what I'm looking for right now on MAXN. If we want to put a hold up here, maybe we close above 9.5, and then we start curling back up in the same way kind of that we did over here. So you have a 3-candle pattern that breached VWAP on a wick basis, only to weasel and close above it every single time. It doesn't mean it's going to happen on this occasion, but it's something that I can look out for. And if this curls back up and closes above that 9 2/3 where VWAP is on my chart right now on MAXN, then I'm going to be really interested, because then it'll be kind of doing that same thing that it did over here, where it wicks below and then closes above. But it's continuing to print newer lows, man. This thing is coming into 9.25, so maybe I don't get what I'm looking for here. We'll see. This candle closes, I believe, now. So it didn't obviously work its way back above VWAP. So MAXN, it's going to have to work. It's going to have to get above VWAP for me to trade this as a long. I'm not interested in it at the moment. What else we got over here? We're really packing our patience here with Snap, only to watch, the last remaining position that we have dwindle in value. The best print I got was that $0.50. Now we're printing 44s. But if I can make an assessment here, it's been a symphony of lower highs and lower lows ever since we printed that $0.50. Now the question is, can this be bull flagging? Well, I think I'm, reaching it here. I'm seeing what I want to see possibly. Nothing changes for me on this trade. What does that mean? That means if we break 26 to the downside, or I think 27, I'm not sure exactly where I have my stop, I'm out. And if it prints 55s, I'm also out of this. So one of them is going to come first, I guess, or I'm going to flatten out because the show's over. I'm going to let this one cook, come what may, and I'm not adding nor taking it out over here. Reddit, we're basically singing the praise of Reddit for bouncing off the volume weighted average price. Now it's kind of doing that rounded top, right? Putting a couple of red candles with lower highs and lower lows, maybe wanting to work right back into that 112. I don't know if this is a pay for shorts type of situation for us over here. Man, Snap keeps bleeding. You're pissing me off.
No.
I don't know if this is a pay for shorts type situation on Reddit. Let's find out. Let's go ahead and try to short. We're going to get really away from it so that we don't get printed. Yes, it is a pay for shorts type of situation today on Reddit, so I'm not going to even be bothering getting shorts for that. We'll just look to trade something else. But anyway, Adara is at the big desk. She's got some for us.
Just be aware here, lots of weakness in Palantir. This one down about 1.6%. Only one green candle in the last hour. I'm not seeing any specific catalyst, but it's worth noting we're hearing some chatter here from the United States, the State Department here with regards to a potential ceasefire in Israel and Lebanon. U.S. saying they ultimately want to see a ceasefire and a, quote, diplomatic solution, but it's critical that this happens in a way where Israel is not apparently threatening the lives of civilians and that significant cultural heritage sites are protected. So just ceasefire discussions here coming out of the U.S. State Department. We know Palantir does a lot of work on the defense side, so keep an eye on PLTR. If this or any other tickers are on watch that you'd like to vote for to have Sean and Neil cover them, only have 20 minutes left to do so. Get in the chat, ! Join space, $, and your ticker of choice.
Thank you very much, Adara. And in case you guys don't know, the afternoon segment today is literally nothing without the viewers. If they don't hit that exclamation point, type in join, and then hit spacebar, then shift 4, please, and then enter a ticker of your choice. The big kahunas, well, they're going to talk about what they want to talk about then. They're not going to talk about what you want to talk about. But let's see what people are talking about in the chat. Rob EV talking about VSTE, big volume buy spike on the 5 minutes, a small cap gapper that we were waxing poetic about earlier. Adara brought this to us earlier, Palantir drop. John Drawing mentioning that as well. Get into the chat, John. Vote for PLTR. I'm sure both of them would love to talk about it. It's heavily traded on this desk. Pro Trader Key talking about AMC. Get into the chat, my man. Vote for AMC. See what the big kahunas have to say about it. Maybe they'll look at GME as well. Maybe they'll look at Chewy. Catman was meowing earlier today, and maybe we could do some.
Meta bleeding.
Meta bleeding, get it.
Yes, let's go. So yeah, Meta is bleeding. So I didn't stay long in this trade, but what I wanted to look at here is the fact that we broke below VWAP. It's coming down, looking really nice there. And so if you're missing this move, I would say an initiation of a short here, 594.40, or get in now. It's looking like it's going to the downside, as Sharif would say, to the downside. And then also, too, some more confirmation for this trade is also like the QQQs. I like the fact that this closed below VWAP as well. And so it's not as strong as Meta, just because Meta does have the earnings, and I feel like that is really starting to get people piled in there. But I'm still looking a little bit short for the QQQs as well. What gives me more confirmation for this trade is probably the break of around 498.18, but wouldn't get mad at you guys if you guys start getting in there here. But for me personally, 498.18, that's what I'm looking at in terms of going short. So that looks really ugly, really bad as of right now. Meta bleeding to the downside, and so is Apple. Apple just broke below this day's low, 230.50. That's your friend. No, not your friend today.
I'm hoping Thursday is a better day. Today's a bad day.
No, it's really bad as of right now for the Mag 7s.
Yeah.
Looking pretty ugly there. But how about you, Sharif?
All right. I'm looking at the following over here. DJT. I was just okay, so first of all, I want to mention SMCI because the Katina man just yelled out. I was speaking to Jay Lee in the chat. Jay Lee is trading an SMCI derivative, SMCX. Shout out to Jay, and thank you for letting everybody know that, because it's a $4 name, so people may want to do that. But Adair and I were looking at SMCI today, and there was all sorts of support on 32.5. So Jay was just messaging me in the chat. He's like, bruh, what's going on with SMCI? Is it time to beak wet or whatever? What's going on over here? So let's have a look at the price action on SMCI, and here is the kind of support level that I was seeing. So there was all sorts of support here, Jay. Initially, look at that. Hold up at all these closing prints, Jay. North of 32.5. Sure, you get wicks that breach that, but look at closing print galore. North of 32.5. We're awfully close to it right now. I believe the low that we just got into, 32.66. So Jay, your point well taken. You're not going to catch me with a resting order, but if we bounce off 32.5 and catch a bid, because this thing is all sorts of SSR, I could absolutely be persuaded to jump into this. I think we do have money talks with Adair. Sorry, is it money talk? It is.
Look here at the economy. We do have the DXY continuing to reject here. A little bit lower than we last saw it. Now just holding on to that 104 area, despite earlier today being at almost 104.5. So moved down after pretty much an entire month strength here for that US dollar. We did get a lower than expected GDP growth rate, or the preliminary print there for Q3. 2.8% here. The previous print was 3%. Consensus of 3% and forecast of 3.3%. So that 2.8% preliminary Q3 GDP print could be part of what's sending this DXY to the downside a little bit. The other data we got was a higher than expected pending home sales print for the month of September, 7.4% increase versus a previous increase of 0.56%. And the consensus of 0.1 or 1.1%. So stronger than expected month over month. The year-over-year print, which was a bit slow to arrive for these pending home sales, was also much stronger than expected, 2.6% versus negative 3% previous, a negative 1.5% expected. Now, tomorrow we're going to be getting PCE. That'll be huge. This is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, and they are going to be having their next rate decision in just 8 days, almost to the dot. It'll be 2 p.m. Eastern on November 7th, which is a Thursday, usually not when they have their meeting. Then we'll get comments from Fed Chair Powell about half an hour after that at 2:30. PCE here previously coming through at 0.1% to the upside. So that was below the market expectations of a 0.2% increase. It was also a slowdown. So let's see if we continue to see a slowdown here for PCE. I also really quickly have the Euro to USD rate relationship up, because Euro gaining on the USD after some comments from some Fed speakers over in Europe. ECB's Vieroy saying that there is victory against inflation in sight. We also had comments from ECB's Schnabel saying that the U.S. election could actually potentially significantly impact the UK's monetary policy. So interesting comments coming out of there. Either way, nice move up here for the Euro, guys.
Euro, eh? Euro. All right, good look. Guys, snap. The euro, yes. Why? What happened, Katina, man? What did you get in at the gym today?
I am short, just cardio.
Cardio and sauna for the Katina man, and he's short NASDAQ. He was listening to what Satya was saying, and he was very convinced. So he punched short the NASDAQ. Katina man short T triple Qs. Oh.
Okay, let's
The
go.
Katina man is short T triple Qs at 76.40. I know that More Trader TV is not up, so anytime you have a question about the Neils, the Katina man's trades, we're more than willing, obviously, to help out on this show. As long as we're not in a position, obviously, and having to manage, we'll have to put that on temporary pause, and then we'll do it right after. But I want to yap Ram about Snapchat over here. So we got the big boy break of 50. I'm talking about that 1250 level. But as I said to Satya while Adira was dropping hot lines, I said I didn't wait for the better part of an hour only to weasel my way out south of my profit. I'd rather get stopped out at 12.26 than take it out 2 pennies short. How about that? That's stubbornness for you right there. No, seriously, because I always have a propensity to take it out earlier, so you got to train the brain, and that's what I'm going to do right now. If that means getting stopped out or not getting the full print, then that's what it's going to be. So, yeah, I'm waiting here for snap, 12.55. It's selling off again, so I'm just going to stop watching it. Guys, MAXN is bleeding. So that's why I was like saying, keep your eye out on this one. Let's not put a resting order at VWAP. That's the kind of volatility we get there. So it looks like it might have a bit of a skewed double top. Right now on MAXN, coming into that 8.5, giving up a lot of the profits that it had earlier, 36.25 right now, percentage up on the day. All right, guys, we will go up to Adira as we got bills to pay.
Part of the show is brought to you by eSignal. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience. Analyze, strategize, and capitalize. Foresee profitable opportunities with the platform you need. Infinite data and instant trading. You can know where the market's moving before others with lightning-fast data. Charts that change the game. Customize and analyze charts faster your way. Better backtesting and scanning. Predict the future by understanding the past. Reliable, real-time data. Up to the second market info from hundreds of global markets. Everything you need all in one place. Don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now. Are you ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or click the link in the description.
All right. Yeah, no problem, Ram. We're always willing to make you happy, and everything's fine. Guys, NVIDIA's at VWAP. I just want to let you know there could be a trade here. NVDA, VWAP already bouncing off. It's already moving away from it. VWAP on my chart was at 20. We're already at 40s over here. So as quickly as you can move to the dang trading screen, it goes 20 pennies, 25 pennies. NVDA for the moment bouncing off VWAP. But I want to shout out the Katina man because he took that big boy short on the Qs. And we did breach, I didn't have eyes on this, but we did breach 20,600. We still haven't put a newer low on the day, though. So we're still above those lows. But we did break this area trough, Satya. So I thought that was quite important as well. I thought maybe, this would be a higher low kind of situation. Not so. So it
Usually, this is exactly where I like to go short, actually.
Right here.
Yeah, right there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great area, too. Like, in the fact that we didn't get that higher low, I think that makes eminent sense that you would get short there because the look is you're looking for a trend of higher lows. You don't get that trend, then you either consolidate or you drop.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
Good call out
That's a good point, yeah. I feel like going back to the QQQs trade, if you missed out on that, I think that AVGO can be something that you can get into as well. It is part of the Mag 7. The Mag 7 is dropping as of right now, so if you missed that QQQ trade, AVGO, it's breaking below 177.03, and it's going to the downside as well. And so what I'm looking at in terms of bus stop level is this day's low around 175.67. So if you missed that QQQs and you want to kind of get in a little bit higher rather than, as low as the QQQs here, I definitely think AVGO is really starting the same structure as the QQQs. I find if I miss a move on the Mag 7 or something that is in the triple Q's index, what I will do is I will just find, you know, what other tickers are in the index, and then I will just flip through those and try to get in to other tickers that are in the index in case I miss the QQQ's move. So that is definitely something very interesting there. And then what else here? And then someone was saying a GEV for a swing trade. So Johnny Haynes, he was asking about that GEV. And so what is really interesting about this is the fact that it's at all-time highs, right? And so this thing barely pulled back. Like, you just have this one big green candle on the 12-month, but if we look on the monthly here, since you know, it came out in January of 2024, April of 2024, I don't know if this is just like the beginning of its inception or just what's available on TradingView, but from what I can see, this is looking really strong. But I would be a little bit wary to get in at these levels just because we are like at the all-time highs, and you want to make sure that you're not, you know, getting in right there. Maybe get in on a pullback. For the swing trade, it looks great, but you want to get a little bit cheaper prices rather than getting in as of right now at these highs. So last week, if you guys tuned in, I was talking about 9 EMA levels and possible dip buy opportunities. And so typically, you don't want to get in at the market level. You want to get in where there's a gap. So typically, I find there is this strong trend here, and I do still think that it's going to the upside. But I think a better dip buy opportunity for GEV would be around this 260 mark. And I would look for that rather than getting in here. I mean, maybe you can get in a little bit of a piece if you really desire to do so, but I feel like getting in at that dip buy around 260 is a little bit better because it's still following the trend. It should come back to the 9 EMA and then continue that trend there. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of GEV. And then Amazon is coming down too. So same thing that I was saying with the Mag 7s. If I miss that QQQ's trade, I'll just go on to the other Mag 7s. So Amazon looks like it's doing the same structure as the QQQ's, the Meta trade. It's doing the same exact thing. And I was really looking at the break of this trend line. That looks really good as well. So I'm not going to punch into it now just because I want to engage with the chat, but this looks really good as well. Amazon short looking really nice there. Bus stop level I'm looking at is around 193.10, but I want to see the break below this trend line here, and that looks really good as well. And then something that I wanted to look at is Tesla. Tesla looks very interesting as well. It's trying to bounce off of that VWAP. It did bounce off of that VWAP a little bit around 260, and so if it could hold there, I want to see a break above this 262.18 for the initiation of the long, but if it breaks below, I wouldn't be surprised if it does the same thing as the QQQs, as Meta, as AVGO, looking the same there. How about you? Oh, going to it.
We got Raider. He's got some for us at the big desk. What do you got, man?
Hey guys, classic October volatility. I want to say, for everyone panicking right now, relax, relax. Listen. This is the most volatile month of the year. If a bottom wasn't ugly, it wouldn't be a bottom. So one thing I'm watching, if you guys want to watch it with me, TLT. I've set my alerts for 92.75 here, as well as 92.68. As soon as this level starts to get crossed, this is going to be the go time where I'm going to start positioning into some shorter term calls, not my bigger position. Again, we are watching TNX under 4.2 to be the confirmation for a bigger move in small caps and bonds. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for that, Raider. Appreciate that, man. All right, guys, we're moving right back here on Donald John Pump. So it holds that $40 area. This was a missed trade by me. I didn't execute it that well. 40.50, excuse me. And here it goes. It just took out the 20, but we have a key area that I'm looking at. It's the 5-minute candle that we printed right at 12:45. This candle right here, topping tail, ugly, breach the 20 only to close below. So we're still putting in those lower highs, but now the other side of the coin has come into play. That higher low situation, 39.5 was where we held up last little dip. It's 40.5 now. So Donald John Trump possibly trying to curl back up to the upside. Let's give this one time to see what it wants to do. But here it goes. And the volatility is there, man. The liquidity is there. The levels are there. Don't paper hand the trade like me, like I did over here. There was a good trade to be had. I didn't execute well on it. Sucks to be me. So we'll look to do a little bit better. But I like this look right now on Donald John Trump. And I also want to shout out the spiled one, the styled one, the smiled one. Big Kyle Burdette, $5 super chat. It's the big one. I'm coming for you, Elizabeth. Now, I don't know what movie that's from, but Neil was like, hey, it's from some movie. I don't get it. I guess it's supposed to be funny. Usually anything you say is funny anyway. So shout out to you, Big Smile. Appreciate the $5 super chat. I know you get happy when these markets bleed, Big Smile. I know that that's how it works, and I'm okay with that. I've come to terms with it, baby. He doesn't want to go long. I don't know. I don't know why. He's obviously very capable of going long. He just doesn't he's going to do what he wants, and I'm going to shut up about it. As I should. Thank you for keeping me in line. You're muted, by the way. All right, guys. We're right back into that level again on Snapchat. Ram. 12.55 is where I've got my beak wetter. We're at 12.54 now. We got to 12.54 last time, rejected. This time we got to 55s, but didn't cross. So I've been waiting for a hot minute. I'm done waiting. There it is on Snapchat. It's all over with this one. Happy with this trade. Now let's focus on Donald John Pump, because he's back at 42 over here. DJT putting in those higher lows, but still lower highs. I mean, I don't want to wait all the way until 43 and a quarter, because that's where the area top is. I mean, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm really waiting way too long. I think the neckline break here, possibly at 40 and a quarter, was the good trade, because now it's been uninterrupted buying on Donald John Trump here to the high side up that 40 and a half hold. Now we're talking about 42 and a fifth right now. So good look here. Seller at 20. Yeah, there's a seller at 20. I think he got taken out. No, the bid still hasn't crossed. That seller's still there between a quarter and 20. Now he's gone. So there's a lot of buying right now, guys, on DJT. It's really moving over here, but be careful with DJT. Right when you think the buying is coming in, look what happened, okay? So be careful, be ready, have a trading plan, have an edge, as Raider said earlier. If you don't see an opportunity, if you don't see that clear area of support or resistance off which to get in, steer clear of that. So I'm keeping an eye on that one. I'm also keeping an eye on some of these Mag 7s. VWAP is really what I'm looking at here with NVIDIA and Tesla. So Tesla did defend volume weighted average price, goes into that 260.80 and pops up $1. Gives you 261.80, quick as you like on that. So TSLA predictable, volume weighted average price hold. It's done that multiple times on the day. So for whatever reason here, Tesla being bought up every time it drops into volume weighted average price. So VWAP operative today for Tesla. I wanted to make the same argument for NVIDIA. It's not as clear cut, although you have once, twice, and then OB thrice over here holding up at VWAP. But I'm going to submit to you, unless you think the future is going to move up into the afternoon, it likely will not be the case that NVIDIA moves up on its own and then the future tanks. Usually they're going to move in tandem. That's not a hard and fast rule. So if you have a bias that the future continues to bleed, maybe NVIDIA long, not a good idea. But this is looking real good here, Ram, at this 139.50. I think if we can take out that level, which is a local area trough, then we can easily squeeze at least into that 140 and a quarter, that level that we've been kind of banging with all day. So look for that 139.50 clearance on a closing basis, and then I think we can squeeze nicely into maybe a 140 and a third, 140 and a quarter. Technically, the high of the day is 140 and a third. So the Mag 7 on watch. Also, for whatever reason here, goggles finding support at the pivot points. It's been a hot minute since we've been using these pivots as areas of support and resistance, but look at this, right at that 176 level, the area that we had pivot points on, it finds support, and now it's working its way back into the 10. VWAP could be a level for it. You had 1, 2, 3 rejections at the volume weighted average price earlier on Google, so that could be interesting as well on there. So that is the look. Satea, what do you got?
Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to touch a little bit back on GEV because I answered it, but I forgot a little aspect of it. So someone in the chat was asking, what are swing levels that they should start taking profits at, or like what are the levels that I'm looking at. And so when a ticker is in price discovery, a lot of the time I like to look at the options levels. And so I don't want to guess. I want to see at prices where the strike prices are.
Dang.
So I'm looking at 300, which is it at right now? Okay, we're approaching 300. So 300, once it gets there, you want to see what it does at that level. Is it being supported or is it rejecting at that level? Then the next level you want to look at 305, 310, 315, 320, 325, those $5 levels. And so every time it reaches those prices, see how the market reacts to that price. Are you seeing a strong, hour candle rejecting off of those levels, or are you seeing a support at those levels? And so I would go off of that and start trailing off some profits, once it starts getting to those strike prices. So GEV, that is what I'm looking at in terms of that. Monty G, if that was you, shout out to you. And so that is what I wanted to cover. And then so SMCI. So this isn't necessarily in my playbook because you know me, it's VWAP, it's pre-market high, it's pre-market low, it's the day's low. And so, but what I like about this trade is I have this strong candlestick here on the hourly that wicked off of 32.21. And so that looks really strong, and it seems like it's trying to squeeze out all those short traders that were shorting in the morning. So I'm going to do a little bit of a scalp trade here. I'm going to take off some profits right before the 9 EMA, just because I want to make sure that it doesn't get to the 9 EMA and then trail down again, because we are still in a downtrend. But my profit target level is around that 9 EMA, looking for that bounce, because I think they're trying to, get people out of those shorts. And so that is bouncing pretty heavily there on SMCI. How about you, Sharif?
I'm still keeping an eye here on DJT. Again, it makes a newer low and, a lower high, excuse me, I'm getting tired. It makes a lower high, and now it's kind of looking like it's setting up as a bear flag. Right, and we know what these compression patterns do, bear pennant, not flag, as it's compressing. So we know how these compression patterns typically resolve. They resolve in the direction of the trend most of the time, or so say the textbooks. So if we're gonna get this higher low but lower high compression, I'm gonna look for a breakdown of the trend line. So it behooves us to start drawing some of these trend lines over here. We'll get back to that when we get back from Adara at the big desk.
We're here of Eli Lilly, which is actually hanging out right now at a pretty interesting level. We've been consolidating. I'll show the 3-minute here, but I have the daily up right now because this area we're consolidating around, that 824, 825 level, was actually the low we hit on our previous earnings report, August 8th. So be really cognizant of this level we're hanging out here right now for Eli Lilly. For context, here is the 3-minute chart. We've been consolidating around this level here since about 124. So lots of consolidation here for Eli Lilly around that 824, 825 level. Just some context with that daily level, guys.
Mademoiselle Lilly in focus, no question about it. Guys, GLP-1s, clearly weight loss is just one of the things they're scratching the surface on. Substance abuse as well. Lots of other different, habitual tendencies you can look to work out with that. So I think we're just scratching the surface with these GLP-1s like we are with kind of AI. But I want to show this chart here on Ram on DJT. I was just showing this to Satea. Look at this line over here. This is a trend line, obviously, but it's really a line of best fit. Let me see if I can make this super thick so you guys can see it. There you go. Look at that. Basically acting as resistance the entire pre-market, even holds up at the institutional print. Then even the IB low, it factors into. Then again over here, and then now it's acting as a level of resistance again. So what this interesting line of best fit right now on DJT. But what I was also saying to Satea was this is a kind of what we look at as a bear pennant. And the textbooks say usually the bear pennant resolves in a breakdown in the direction of the trend that preceded it, and obviously the trend today is down because we're down over 20%. So let's see if Donald John Dump can break this downtrend over here, this lower trend line, and maybe we can get short on this bad boy. But I believe it is a pay for shorts type situation, so unlikely to want to work into that. Reddit as well, again, into the volume weighted average price, and again, getting bought up now. VWAP, interesting, not for day traders only, but here's the thing. So Michael Noss used to work at a hedge fund, and his information was actually really important for a case like this. He's like, look, these buy and sell committees start getting in, cycling into, or getting out of a name after the earnings report. They digest the information, they take all the information in, then they make their decisions. And then they assign their traders the responsibility of either buying or selling the name. And the way that the traders on the floor are graded, how they're assessed about how well or poorly they did on the day, is the price that they have relative to the volume weighted average price. So for example, right now VWAP on Reddit is 112 bucks. If my average on Reddit is 107, I'm getting a tap on the back from what are they called, those managing directors, right? MDs. I don't know, it's a finance game, right? We're not in. So that's the look there. So VWAP, not just a level that day traders like to use, but one that big money judges their traders on about how well or poorly they did on the day. I think Raider really wants us to throw to him. Get it, Raider.
Yeah, I was doing this anyway. One thing to remember, guys, I will say this. If you are looking to the short side, be very, very, very cautious. I said this last time, but I'll say it again. If you look at my chart right here, this is the historical tendencies of the market to close green or red. Today, we had a 71% chance of the time to close green. And speaking of that which, if you go and you look at the rotations right now, it seems money is flowing a lot into actually growth, tech, and out of defensives and value. This is typically a bullish standpoint. From the 10-minute chart I'm looking at this, you can typically expect a pump within the next hour or in an hour and a half to 2 hours. So that aligns typically with the 2 to 4 p.m. session. I'm actually looking long the markets. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the dollar to flush these lows right here, and we'll get busy on things like TLT, and I'm still in that Boeing, guys.
Shout out to Raider, man. I was just saying to Satya, too. I'm like, I don't even think we're that down on the day, because I was kind of surprised. I'm like, Raider thinks we're going to close higher. Then I looked, took a gander at the ES. We're only down 0.18. Even the NQ only down 0.5%. The Dow flat. The Russ green up 0.33%. So, you know, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that we retrace and close green.
No, for sure. So something that I was looking at here is the SMCI. So we did have that bounce here. I got out of that trade around 33.18. Took a little bit of a scalp there. It really does look like it's trying to take out those shorts here. Like, look at that strong candle, and it is near, is that the lows? Yeah, it's the day's lows. Not necessarily exactly, but around 32, 33. And so it is in that area of the lows, and it's bouncing to the upside here, trying to take out those shorts there. So that is very interesting. And then someone in the chat saying Tesla. I mean, as of right now, Tesla, I feel like I need to see the break of 260-290 in order to get involved. We do have those VWAP bounces here, but it's just not enough confirmation for me yet. I mean, we are at the pre-market high around 261.81, which I feel like, I mean, that is a good level actually. So maybe I wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't be mad at you getting in here, but me personally, I want to get in on the upside as it's going through that level of 263.02. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, remember that stock you were looking at earlier for whoever, LMND?
Yeah.
What a beautiful VWAP hold. This has been doing the VWAP dance all day. Now, the only reason I didn't like this is because the volume was a little light. And you can see that on the volume bars here. I mean, like the average volume per 5-minute candle is around 10,000. That ain't going to cut it for me. That usually means a bit of a wider spread as well. But you can't argue with the price action. Higher highs, higher lows. Predictable top over here in and around generally 19. The last little area crest, we got into 1893. Obviously, we did breach 19 earlier. So LMND, good look on the day in the same way that Mira was a good look. Now, we told you about that swine flu, bird flu, whatever flu type situation. This is one of the plays that may be going with it. MIRA, it is at the day's high, and it has not breached the 10 exponential since 12:30. There you go. 12:30 was the last time. It is almost 2 o'clock, 3 to 2 right now. It's been very directional, and even when it did breach the 20, look, the 10, it held up at the 20. So this is a great name. I'm holding on to this one for tomorrow. It's killing it, bro. It's taking out the highs, 245. You're obviously going to have to size into this to make any, you know, decent amount of money over here, but it's giving you predictable levels. It's giving you ample liquidity Each 5-minute candle has about 300,000 shares. That's plenty for me. And that's plenty. There it goes. It just printed new highs, bro. Here comes 250 on MIRA. Good look, good breakout level there. It's kind of getting extended away from the 10. So I'm going to look to see whether it does here, whether it rejects off 250 at the moment right now. 250 HOD on MIRA. Just as I started speaking about it, it really started exploding there. Let's do some charting and look to see where we can expect some resistance on MIRA. So we're at 250 right now. So the last time we were up here, I'm going to say, yeah, 275. A lot of interaction with that 275 back in August and late July. And you can see that I was trading this monster back July 22nd as well, because that had a big boy day. And then I put in the watermark as well. That's how I kind of know. So 250. HOD right now, but be on the lookout, guys, for that 275. You have 1, 2, 3, 4-hour candles, all of which rejected off 275. And then even going back to the 30th of July, we've got that $3 $3 resistance level. So MIRA, fantastic look. Can't break through the $0.50 quite yet. Not surprising. These areas of $0.50 and whole dollar usually act as support and resistance. Awesome. Any final thoughts? We got a minute left.
Yeah, so if you guys have any bus stop levels, I want to see you hashtag bus stop level and hashtag Sataya and hashtag tradertv.live and get us. I want to see those bus stop levels, guys. So you could follow me, follow Trader TV Live on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and then you could also follow me, sataya.trades. And that's it.
And my man Raider just dropped $100 Canadian in the chat. Jeez.
Let's
and
go.
It says CA, Christina, man. And his message is even more jokes. His credit card company blocked him, says Ram. Stop trolling the man. Raider, he goes on to say, that Raider guy is something else. Shake my head, get him out. No, we're going to have to disagree with you on that, Raider.
He did a great job.
Fantastic job, guys. It is now 2 o'clock, though. The Big Kahuna is ready, locked, and loaded. It's going to be me and Joe tomorrow, but you're going to be back on Friday.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a lesson for us, surprise lesson. You're not going to tell us what it is.
No.
I like it. I always like that 9 EMA lesson was solid last week, and I think a lot of people got a lot of that, so thank you for that. We'll wait for the Friday lesson, but for now, we're going to send you over to the Big Kahunas. We'll see you same bat time, same bat channel. Get it.
Ooh, a surprise lesson from Sataya coming up tomorrow. Hopefully
No.
It was on Friday, I should say.
Friday.
On Friday. I think it's going to be